Hour, starring the high-flying school bus called Higher Education. 3 monster shows. Tickets now at MonsterTNT.com or buy at Allen's Jewelry and Pawn for free pit passes. Monster TNT, the Egg Center.
Paid for by Consumer Tort Network. Always check with your doctor before discontinuing any medication.
Has your doctor told you that you have cancer? Have you taken Zantac or another generic version of this popular drug to help treat stomach issues? Then pay close attention to this message. The FDA said it detected low levels of a probable cancer-causing chemical known as NDMA in Zantac and other generic forms of the drug. Some of the largest stores in the country have them off the shelves. If you've been diagnosed with cancer and you've taken Zantac or a generic equivalent, call the Consumer Tort Network now at 800-513-6073. You could receive a free cash award and have your medical expenses covered. We represent some of the largest law firms in America. They have proven records fighting the big pharmaceutical giants, and there's no upfront cost to you. They only get paid if you win. We're here to help, so please call now. 800-513-6073. 800-513-6073. That's 800-513-6073.
The underdog. The long shot. The nobody from nowhere, never gonna happen 100 to 1 shot. We know something about that. We're with you every step of the way.
This week at Ingles, select sizes and varieties, Laura Lynn bar or shredded cheese, 3 for $5. Select sizes and varieties, Prego pasta sauce, also 3 for $5. And select sizes and varieties, Keebler Townhouse or Club crackers, 2 for $6. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
BC Powder knows life pushes us to the max. Work to the max. Family to the max. It can all mean pain to the max. So BC introduces new BC Max Strength. New BC Max relieves tough headaches and body pain at the speed of powder. Nothing stronger on pain without a prescription. Pain to the max? New BC Max. In a great tasting lemonade flavor.
We all have our favorite podcasts.
We listen day and night.
Now iHeartRadio is celebrating the best in podcasting.
This is so fun.
Our 2022 iHeartRadio Podcast Awards are coming
tomorrow.
Join Will Ferrell, Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey, Bowen Yang, Martha Stewart, Paris Hilton, Bethany Frankel, Wilmer Valderrama, and many more as we honor the brilliant storytelling and inspiring conversations behind the podcasting explosion.
So wonderful.
Watch live exclusively on iHeartRadio's YouTube channel and Facebook page.
And listen on iHeartRadio.
Tomorrow night at 9.
From the Ingles Studios, this is ESPN Asheville, WPEK, W225CJ Fairview, WMXF Waynesville, and iHeart Radio Station.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Former Dolphins coach Brian Flores appeared on ESPN's Get Up today explaining why he filed his racial discrimination lawsuit against the NFL, the Broncos, Dolphins, and Giants.
We need change. We need change. I know many very capable black coaches, some of my staff who I know if given an opportunity or when given an opportunity are going to go and do a great job on their interview.
Flores said in his first year as Dolphins coach, he was offered $100,000 per loss by team owner Stephen Ross, who wanted to increase the value of the team's first-round pick. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts having surgery on his left ankle. He's expected to recover in time for the team's offseason program in April. Hurts had a high ankle sprain in late November and struggled with mobility for the rest of the season. Speed skater Brittany Bowe and curler John Schuster will be the American flag bearers in the Olympics opening ceremony Friday. Bowe is replacing bobsledder Elena Myers-Taylor, who's now in isolation after a positive COVID-19 test.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Now your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Money. That's money. Enter it on our station website now.
Log on now to ESPNABL.com.
In the heart of Beer City, USA. Two men, one journey,
to create a sports show unlike any other. Unfiltered, raw, and honest. One of them played a soccer goalie opposite Ben Stiller. The other once scored 6 points on Steph Curry. These guys know their shit.
Let's go!
Tank Spencer, Jeremy Greene, The Sportsocracy. Presented by Ingles Supermarkets. Low prices, love the savings.
And welcome into the Sportsocracy here on ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. And the Sportsocracy heard everywhere on the iHeart Radio app. We are live from the Ingles studio. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene. And the first hour of the program always brought to you by Ingles. Low prices, love the savings. Don't forget, you can see the show now on YouTube. Just go to thesportsocracy.com, click on that live video link. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. That way you can get in all the fun in the chat box. Jeremy really rankled me today when I walked in and I said, hey, did you see this thing? And so I mentioned it yesterday in the uncensored third hour of apparently Stephen Ross offered to pay his former head coach, Brian Flores, to lose games. And Jeremy's response was,
I don't care.
Like what?
I don't care.
It's the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard.
If you honestly think that some of these franchises, and I'll give you ones off the top of my head without looking at this.
Okay.
If you think the Detroit Lions, the Houston Texans, the Houston Rockets, the Orlando Magic, half of Major League Baseball are actually trying to win games, you are more naive than I thought you were.
Really?
You really look at the roster, and I'll even go back to that 2019 Dolphins team. You really think a GM put that team on the field and went, oh, yeah, we're good. We're going to win games. 7 wins at worst.
To me, it's very different. It's very different from putting together a roster. You remember a few years back, Mark Cuban got in trouble with the NBA because he went on Dan Patrick's show and he was talking about losing games and playing all the young guys, and we were throwing games, basically. He got fined by the league for that. To me, there's just a complete difference between having a bad team and then actually paying your guys to lose.
So the paying them to lose seems to be what everybody is rankling at.
Absolutely.
Why are you right? That's what I can't understand. Why are you rankling at this?
Because
and if I'm Brian Flores, this was actually a perk because you are hurting my stock. The fact you have given me this dog water team is hurting my ability to get another job.
Okay.
So your paying me for the losses is almost a sorry for this roster I gave you. It'll be better next year if we had, I don't know, Joe Burrow.
Right.
You know, that quarterback that's played in the Super Bowl in 11 days?
Right.
I wonder if Miami would be better off if they had the ability to draft Joe Burrow.
Possibly.
And if they hadn't, offered 3 ones to trade up for him. I'm going to go one step further. The paying them, I don't care about anyone's money. I have never cared how much an athlete is paid. I have never cared how much a coach is paid. And I don't care how much money an owner has. I just don't care. I was taught from a young age to stay out of other people's wallets. It will do nothing but make you miserable. So take the paying them out of it. I'll even cede that. Okay, maybe that wasn't a great look. But my defense would be, I'm trying to reimburse you for what I'm doing to your stock moving forward. You're stupid not to do this. Not pay them. When you're that bad, it's dumb to not lose.
Well, yeah,
I have said this on this show for years.
You have.
If you're going to be bad, be bad. Do you see the irony that the Miami Dolphins are in and we're not talking about the Brian Flores thing has been trending everywhere today. I will never give an opinion on how somebody else was thinking because I wouldn't want anybody to do it to me.
Right.
I don't know. I wasn't in the meeting. They didn't call me and ask me. We said on this show, I don't really understand why you fired Brian Flores. Had a good end of the year. I can also tell you there have been rumors around the league that he's not the easiest person to get along with.
Yeah, how much of that came from the organization, though? How much of that came from Miami? And
that
has
had been
run
coming out of the organization for quite some time before he was ever fired.
Oh, I get it.
So,
but I think
I'm
a lot of that has to do with
this.
this. I mean, if you believe what Brian Flores is saying, he said today that when he was approached with this pay to lose scheme, that was when he lost all trust in the organization.
Cool.
And so at that
you hung
point,
around for 3 years.
And
so that's the most disingenuous thing I think I've ever heard somebody say. Oh, I totally lost faith, but I still went to work every day for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
I mean, you can infer what I'm trying to say there. I mean, if you lost faith in the organization, quit. Quit. If you think the organization is putting you in some god-awful situation, quit.
Right.
It makes no sense to me.
And then how does that look?
If he had said this, if this is true, and I can't verify that it is, I have no idea.
Right,
Again,
nobody knows.
Wasn't in the room.
I mean, except for Brian Flores and Stephen Ross.
I wasn't in the room. If Brian Flores had walked away from Miami and said, I'm not doing this. I am not doing this. This is my first shot as a head coach, and I'm not going to have an owner incentivize me to lose.
Right.
It didn't change anything. You said this within 2 weeks of being fired anyway. So it's not like you look it's not like if somebody's going to agree with you, they're going to agree with you. If they're not, they're not. Doesn't matter when you said it.
Right.
But if you lost all this faith in the organization, that's weird. You continued to cash paychecks for 27 months. So, see, that kind of loses some steam for me.
Okay.
I was so offended, and you did absolutely nothing about it. I was so offended that they asked me to lose, and you told no one. It didn't come out until you got fired. Okay. I don't know. I wasn't in that room. I have absolutely no idea what was said. I can tell you that looks a little suspect to me. But at the end of the day, you're being incentivized to lose. Well, you're going to lose anyway because that roster was terrible. It was terrible.
And that was the thing, though. He didn't.
He did. He still had the 5th pick in the draft.
Well, of course he did.
Like they were threatening for a playoff berth.
No, but remember at the end of the season they go on this little winning streak, and that was what ruined it. I mean, it was total New York Jets kind of a move there.
Yeah, it's weird. Who you equated that to? Oh, you mean that team that never picks first? Ever? Because they always find a way to win one extra game?
Yep.
How's that worked out? Is that working out swimming?
I understand.
You think they feel better with Mark Sanchez, Zach Wilson? I could go through a bunch of those. Or do you think Miami feels better today with Tua Tagovailoa than they would have with Joe Burrow? No, this sounds bad, and I understand it sounds bad because we're from birth. It is ingrained. You play to win the game.
Absolutely,
I get it. I 100% get that. There are bad wins and there are good losses. Whether anybody wants to believe that or not, I hate to tell you, there are bad wins and there are good losses. The New York Jets last year against the LA Rams was a bad win.
Right.
For the posterity of your franchise, that was a bad win. Miami had, I think, 13 good losses in Flores' first year as a coach. But to me, the outrage over this is mind-boggling.
I don't understand how it's mind-boggling to you.
Because you're naive.
But it goes against everything that we believe.
Do you think it doesn't happen?
Sports people, as sports fans, as athletes, as coaches, as everybody involved in sports, what's the number one goal?
Fact or fiction, you already knew this happened. There is no shock that teams go into games wanting to lose.
I mean, there are times.
You're being disingenuous if you tell me that you don't actually believe that. You've had an owner of an NFL or an NBA team tell you that. The Philadelphia 76ers didn't try to win a game for 4 years. You can stick your fingers in your ears or your head in the sand and act like, nope, everybody's tried every single time. Stop. Stop.
This is to me, it is. To me, it just goes against everything that you're supposed to be for in sports. And to have the owner of the team come out and offer to pay your coach $100,000 to lose games?
I would argue that that's probably the nicest thing Stephen Ross has ever done in his life.
It's probably the dumbest thing he's ever done.
I disagree. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to tell you he didn't say it. I'll bet he said it real early. I bet he said it within weeks of him taking the job.
Yeah.
Because that roster would have been a tough sell. They're terrible. They had no playmakers at all. The defense was a disaster. And the bottom of that roster was a CFL team. So, I mean, what do you think's going to happen? Oh, we're just going to... See, to me, this is the narrative that people that watch too many Disney movies put out. Oh, we should try to win every game.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not like they went out there and threw it backwards. They tried to win. Unfortunately, they tried too well, or they tried too much. They were too successful at it, and now you still have a problem at quarterback.
Right.
You know who didn't? Cincinnati didn't. They're still playing. They're one of two teams because they had the number one pick, and they took Joe Burrow.
Right.
I
understand
how
the positive.
you feel about it is fine. I'm not gonna bang on you for saying, oh, you shouldn't intentionally lose games. Okay, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
I disagree with you, and I've said that this is not a new take for me. I've said this for years.
No, it's not. But to incentivize losing, that doesn't hurt you just as a sports fan.
No.
Wow.
No, actually, it tells me Stephen Ross is just fractionally smarter than I thought he was. That's not saying much.
What it tells me is he's an idiot and he needs to lose his team.
It's funny that you said that way, because sports freak Brian Hall is a Miami Dolphins fan.
Yes, he is.
And the first thing he did this morning when he walked into Radio Ranch was he came right to the door and he asked me about this. And then he listed off all of the pitfalls of Stephen Ross. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, the one that I cared the least about was that he paid a coach to lose. No doubt. Not even close. You do remember that this is the same franchise that had a active coach get caught on camera doing drugs off a mirror.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that, right? You do remember that this is the same franchise that had a bullying scandal where one of their players forced another player to retire.
Yes.
You're shocked. You're just stunned that Stephen Ross would ever do that. Really? Come on. I've heard this all day, and it is the most disingenuous drivel I've ever heard.
It's not disingenuous.
I can't believe somebody would do it. Really? You really cannot believe that?
No, I can't believe it.
It's mind-boggling.
I can't believe that you would go to a coach and say, I want to bring you in to lead this franchise, but hey,
and you know what?
We need a higher draft pick, so I'm going to pay you extra if you lose games. To me,
you know
that's ultimate scandal. That's ultimate scandal up there with the 1919 Black Sox.
It's not in the top 5 scandals of today.
Jeez.
It's not the biggest scandal with that team actively happening right now.
Oh, what's bigger?
Oh, the practices that have gone into the firing of Brian Flores. Again, I wasn't in the room. I don't know what somebody's thinking, and I'm not going to put ideas in their head.
Right.
There have been plenty of other shows today that will do that. I'm not going to. Scott Cutchall in our YouTube comments, it's not that it doesn't happen. It's contradictory to the principles of the game. It's the same as a stockbroker doing insider trading. Yes, they do it, but it's wrong. I never said it wasn't. I think it's much smarter than most people think it is. And I think it happens markedly more than you think it does. I could argue there's a quarter of the NFL that didn't want to win a game past week 7.
Sure.
And they did everything in their power to not do it. How many guys did I see that went on IR because they were hurt? That's not tanking to you? That's not in the same vein? That's not in the exact same vein. All Stephen Ross was saying is, hey, here's the thing. It's 4th and 1. You know what? Maybe we go for it instead of kick that tying field goal.
Right.
How's that sound?
Right.
I don't think Stephen Ross was sitting up in the box going full Yosemite Sam. Oh, tarnation. That
you don't know.
That darn win is going to... I don't think that's how that went.
Apparently nothing would shock you out of Stephen Ross. So
nothing would shock me out of Stephen Ross.
Yeah.
I've literally tried to think all day, what would actually stun me? What story out of that Miami Dolphins organization? I'm going to refer back to what I said a minute ago. They had a coach send a video of him doing narcotics to another person, and it leaked to TMZ. No, I'm not shocked that this franchise had something like that happen. I'm not shocked in the least.
But that was bigger than than Stephen Ross paying. No.
Oh, yeah.
That's one dude doing something he's not supposed to do on the clock. I mean, that would be like me taking a nap in the floor in here and Brian Hall, the boss man, not endorsing it. This is him telling me to do that.
You're equating drug use that everyone in the building knew about to you taking a nap. You are not doing yourself any favors to winning this argument.
I've already won the argument.
No,
we all know
you
that.
haven't. No, you haven't.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean,
this is
I'm
because this is all. This is
you can
awful.
put your head in the sand and act like, oh, it doesn't happen. It's the end of the world. Chicken Little. I've literally given you 8 teams that are doing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying they're paying anybody. The payment doesn't bother me. I don't care that you're paying somebody. This is a man worth $10 billion.
Mm-hmm.
I would bet he probably pays a lot of people to do a lot of things that you probably wouldn't like. And do you know why? Because he can. Because he has a bajillion $. So, yeah, I don't care what a billionaire does with their money.
Right.
I don't care. And maybe it's the draft guy and me going, well, you know what? If he had been better at that, it's entirely possible that we wouldn't be talking about this today.
Right. They ended up with Joe Burrow and everything's just peaches and cream.
And I'm an ends justifies a means kind of guy.
Yeah, I guess I've just never been that guy. And to me, this goes in the face of everything we've been taught about sportsmanship. I mean, it goes both ways. You lose with you can win with pride, and you can also lose with pride. This is not that. This is just, hey, let's go out there and let's just throw it all in. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to pay you to do it.
And that's the other part of this that I don't think anybody seems to understand. It's not like the offense was running the wrong direction.
Oh, I get it. I mean, to me, it's clear this went no farther because it would have happened.
Oh, I don't know that. You know what? I have no idea if it happened. I have no idea.
But you can see a world where Brian Flores comes out of that meeting and goes to his coaches and says, "Hey, Stephen Ross just told me he's going to pay me $100,000 to lose games. We need to make sure we do that."
I'm not saying he lost on purpose. I'm saying he had no choice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that team was horrid. And I don't care.
Yeah.
It does not move the needle for me, even one iota.
Wow.
And the fact that you don't think it's happening just rampantly in every sport.
Mm-hmm.
In every single sport. There have been at least 4 baseball teams in Major League Baseball, which is your sport, that I genuinely don't think cared if they lost every game they played in every season of the last 20 years. Every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you, that's a bigger disparity to me. It's a bigger disparity to me. And it's funny, that ties into a topic we're going to have later today. It's a bigger deal to me that in baseball, you have a slew of teams that have absolutely no shot. None. You have such a financial disparity that you have no prayer.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that completely takes me out of it. The Miami Dolphins, okay, they tanked for a year. Okay, the Bengals tanked that same year, wound up with the first pick, and they're playing the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
There's a level playing field there. Anyone can do it. Anyone cannot do it. The idea that flies in the face of sportsmanship, I got news for you. Sportsmanship, in large part, went out the window a long time ago. That's what people like John Mara have been railing against for years.
Right.
I don't care. I have to do what's best for my team. Fact or fiction, Joe Burrow would have been better for the Miami Dolphins than any win they could possibly have had. There you go.
Absolutely.
I'm the owner of the team. I'll do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
If I think that's best for my team, that's what I'm going to do, and you're not going to tell me otherwise. Now, this idea that he's going to lose,
NFL does.
The idea that he's going to lose the team over this is one of the most comically stupid things I've ever heard somebody say out loud.
Oh yeah,
you do realize how many things Daniel Snyder has done.
I was getting ready to say that.
And the posterity of the fact that the same day he renames his team is the same day that this comes out is just dumbfounding to me.
Right.
You realize this wouldn't be the 8th biggest scandal for Daniel Snyder, but we must take his team away.
Right.
We must do it. Stop.
And they must.
And they won't.
And they won't. They must, but they won't. And I think it's going to cost.
It's going to cost. Please finish that sentence.
Oh, it's going to cost you fans. It will. Guaranteed.
Yeah, there have been a lot of things that was going to cost the NFL fans. It's weird. They had 100 million unique viewers of both of their championship games. I think they're doing just fine.
Oh, I'm
and
sure
I'll
they
bet
are.
you the Super Bowl blows that number out of the water.
I'm sure
and
it will.
Next year's championship game will do the same thing, and we'll just keep tumbling on.
I just can't wait for Miami fans to show up to the stadium next year with their protests for Stephen Ross, because it's going to happen. You're telling me the owner of my team is paying our coach to lose games? Yeah, you count me out on that one. Thank God today I'm not a Miami Dolphins fan that has to make that kind of a decision. There was a big announcement today in the NFL. The Washington football team is thankfully no more. You're in the Sportsocracy here on ESPN Asheville.
This is your Exergen Temporal Scanner weather forecast on ESPN Asheville.
A couple of sprinkles showing up late tonight up from the southwest. The bigger rains come to Asheville for Thursday. Mild temperatures, cloudy tonight and 41 degrees. Almost an inch of rain up from the southwest for Thursday, high 56. There are some flood alerts up to the west of us for some of the higher elevations. High Thursday 56, low Thursday night 52, and then more light rains on Friday with a high 56. I'm meteorologist Scott Lauriamore. That's the latest Weather Channel forecast.
This report is sponsored by DuckDuckGo. Protect your privacy for free with DuckDuckGo.
I feel like I'm being haunted by a pair of headphones. Everywhere I go is a creepy ad for headphones I looked at one time. I hate that feeling like I'm being watched. I downloaded DuckDuckGo and saw a difference right away. Take back your privacy online with DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
If you suffer from chronic joint pain, don't assume that steroid shots, pain pills, and surgery are your only options. You can now get real, lasting, life-changing relief from QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in using biologic therapies to repair damaged tissue in your aching joints. This advanced, unique treatment protocol uses natural biologic agents, mostly from your own body. These powerful, highly concentrated growth factors are put directly into your affected joint, going to work to soothe the inflammation and restore damaged tissue. A truly regenerative treatment. Finally, a new, different, highly successful approach to dealing with joint pain. Is it time you got a second opinion? Call QC Kinetics now and wake up to a life without pain. Call QC Kinetics today at 828-333-9517. That's 828-333-9517. QC Kinetics.
To some, a baby's babbling doesn't mean much, but it does. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The iHeartRadio app celebrates Black History Month by honoring the icons and anthems from past to present. From Aretha Franklin to Drake, Bob Marley to Beyonce, the most influential artists of all time are streaming now on Black History Month Radio. Plus, enjoy Black History Month playlists curated by dozens of artists like John Legend, Smokey Robinson, and Lizzo. And of course, dozens of Black culture podcasts to inspire and educate. Download the free iHeartRadio app and discover music, radio, and podcasts you'll love.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep the facility running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, and Maria in Miami, Jules in Minneapolis, and Stan in Central Indiana, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with experienced branch staff at over 250 locations so you get the product you're looking for. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey guys, I'm Ziggy, your local Philly girl, owner of Ziggy's Bakery and Deli. I've created a traditional northern deli with only the most authentic cheesesteaks outside of Philadelphia, served with provolone, white American, or Cheese Whiz. Our other classic deli sandwiches are made with the best quality meats and cheeses, available sliced by the pound. Join us for breakfast for house-made bagels with our custom cream cheeses. Or for something heartier, try a pork roll, egg and cheese, or house-cured lox. Ziggy's Bakery and Deli, in the corner of Asheville Commons, 1550 Hendersonville Road, open 8 to 3, Tuesday through Saturday.
I believe real estate isn't about properties. It's about people. I am Clarissa Marshall with eXp Realty, serving all of Western North Carolina. Navigating the home buying and selling journey can feel overwhelming at times, and that's why having an agent who cares about you and your needs is key. I'm a native of Western North Carolina, and I close over a home a week. I'm an expert in the market, pricing my sellers correctly to net you the most money, and working as a skilled negotiator for my buyers. Please give me a call today at 828-774-6343 to set up a complimentary market analysis.
The Sportsocracy.
Pull up your pants, take off the bra, and be a man!
Back here in the Ingles studio on ESPN Asheville. Yes, today was the big day. No, not Groundhog Day. I've got a story coming about that later on today.
Yeah, apparently winter is going to last forever in one New Jersey town.
It wasn't Groundhog Day. It was, well, for Washington fans, maybe it is Groundhog Day. Every day is just another act of buffoonery on the part of your football franchise. And today they announced that it is going to be the Washington Commanders from now on, which is not the greatest of names, but it was the one that I liked out of the few finalists that we had been told were coming. I like the Commanders. The Admirals would have been the second choice. But everything about this has just been not good.
Well, it's been leaked about 11 times.
Right. I mean, it's the worst kept secret. What we had last week, we were talking about somebody thought they stumbled upon it because the commanders.com had been registered or something by the Washington football team. And I mean, that was only the first leak that happened. And apparently Joe Theismann was ahead of everybody.
Yeah. Joe didn't know they hadn't announced it yet. So he went, I think Commanders is going to be a great name.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Thanks, Joe.
So we don't tell Joe things anymore.
And then apparently somebody flew a drone up into a window at the...
Oh, that wasn't a drone.
What was it?
That was from the ground. That was somebody on the sidewalk going, hey, aren't they announcing the new team name tomorrow? It says Commanders right there. And flashed the jerseys through.
Right.
There was a video that got leaked on Twitter last night, and I can't remember who. It was a reporter.
Right.
You could still bet on this on several services what the team name was going to be until about 45 seconds out of that video came out.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Might have seen me do it.
Well, good for you. Way to take advantage.
Yeah, there were websites that went, hey, you should go do this right now.
Mm-hmm.
It was plus 250, too, which is insane.
Wow. That's pretty decent odds for something that was such a shoe-in.
I would have taken it at minus 1,000 because it was all free money.
Right.
I don't mind. I don't really like the name, to be honest with you.
Right.
The jerseys are fantastic, though.
I hate them.
Oh, the jerseys are
All
fantastic.
All
Fact
of them
or
are
fiction,
awful.
they're the best jersey that franchise has ever had.
Fiction.
I disagree aggressively.
Absolute fiction.
The
classic
black one and the white one are both fantastic. Now that burgundy-ish, whatever color you want to call that, that one I could do with or without.
Nah, they're all awful. The black one is the worst.
Oh, the black
out of
one's
all
the
of them.
best one.
The black one, it looks like they just completely ripped off the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then I'm not sure why you would put a little tiny W in the center of the helmet. It's
That's
awful.
the one thing I don't understand. Why did you move because that's the one helmet where that logo would have looked okay.
Right.
Because that W looks like it should be on the side of a building where Lex Luthor hangs out.
Right.
I mean, that looks like that is the logo of a company that's trying to kill Superman.
Mm-hmm. There are so many things about it, like the white jerseys with the maroon numbers on the front of them have those little dots to make it look like old school jerseys with the big holes in them from the 1960s, and I hate that. I hate I don't like the fact that they took the numbers off the helmets. I thought that was the coolest part of it.
Oh no, I'm very glad that went away.
And
that's
then
a college
and
thing,
then, like I
or
said,
a high school thing.
And then, like I said, the black jerseys look like you just ripped off the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it doesn't fit the.
They don't look like Pittsburgh's jerseys. There's a venting around the sleeve. The colors aren't right. I'm colorblind.
Venting?
That's what I'm taking the word off the press release.
Okay, I've never heard that before.
I don't know what that means.
Do they have flaps like a plane or something?
No, they have there's little holes in the sleeves.
Okay.
At least that's what I took it to mean.
Okay, I mean maybe so. Maybe so. To me, it's just all awful. And then
there's been pretty much universal disagreement in the comments. The jerseys have been fine.
No,
a lot of people have. You know what? We have polls for a reason.
Of course. And then the crest. Has anybody looked at the crest? Like really looked at it? It looks very, very strange because there's one part of it where the lower left quadrant looks exactly like the Tennessee Titans logo. Remember the 3 stars that mimic the Tennessee state flag?
Mm-hmm.
It looks exactly like that. And then also on the outer crest where they list the Super Bowl years, they're all wrong. They're all wrong.
What do you mean they're all wrong?
Okay, let me ask you this. Cincinnati Bengals win the Super Bowl this year.
2021 Super Bowl.
Yeah. All their numbers are wrong.
Well,
1983,
you can go
1988.
either way with that because technically you won it in that year.
I mean, I get it, but you look at all the great teams from NFL history. The Miami Dolphins, the undefeated Dolphins, are always referred to as the
72.
The 72 Dolphins. They won the Super Bowl in 1973. The Bears, the great defense of the Bears, was
85.
The 85 Bears. They won the Super Bowl January 26, 1986. And on the crest, it's just, I mean, I know it's small and I know I'm picking nits, but come on, guys. You won the Super Bowl for the 1982 season, the 87 season, the 91 season. You didn't win it in 83, 88, and 92. Sorry. Again, maybe I'm being too nitpicky, but you've screwed this up from jump.
Armchair commentary in our comments said, Tank sounds very much like the old man that's yelling at clouds.
Well, all right, so I am the old man who yells at clouds. I do this all the time.
And you got called a boomer, which makes me laugh a lot. Alex Majabi asked, what is the worst jersey in the NFL?
The worst jersey in the NFL? The Cincinnati Bengals.
See, it's when you say things like that, nobody can take you seriously.
Sorry,
because those are the best. The current Bengals jerseys,
the all-white jerseys, awful.
Yeah,
that they wore last week.
Oh,
no
yeah.
good.
That's the best Bengals jersey ever.
No.
I would argue there's not really a team that I look at and go, man, those are terrible.
The Atlanta Falcons.
And see, it's the same thing. You don't like anything that's not all just plain. You like very plain.
I do like very plain. It's very simple. It's very easy. I don't understand why we have to. You're gonna get all excited. I mean, it looks to me. It looks cheap.
There's only one jersey to me that's terrible.
Okay.
The Jacksonville Jaguars are terrible.
Okay.
But they've always been. That's never been. It's almost been like a beacon of if you don't watch football, just look at what we adorned this team in, and you'll know they're bad.
Sorry. I guess I just don't like new things. That's why I like the Beatles.
You don't. Oh, yeah. Speaking of that, tomorrow we will have let's see, that'll go out at, what is tomorrow, Thursday? We'll go out at noon. It will be our official selection show of the bracket to determine the most overrated band of all time.
Mm-hmm.
There are going to be some seeds that make people very angry.
Yes, there will be.
And the only person you can be mad at is me. Because I set them all.
Well, I mean, we know how that's going down. We know how that happened.
Well, I mean, there's a one seed that might just want to let it be. Let it be. Let it be. That's literally the only words of that song I know.
Of course,
that's all
it
I
is.
need to know.
Because you hate good music, and I guess that's all we need to know.
Boy, you must be outside your mind.
The Sportsocracy.
Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
Somebody who got outside their mind yesterday, Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots. Obviously, yesterday was a big day. Tom Brady announcing his retirement. He went through and put out 10 different posts, just all laid out, well thought out. It's like 950 words. Not a single word in there said anything about the New England Patriots. The franchise that Tom Brady won 6 Super Bowls with. Obviously, as a Tampa Bay fan, I had no problem with it. Didn't even really notice it when it all went down. And then as the day progressed, we started hearing all these reports that I read this story, that Robert Kraft was so incensed that the New England Patriots, himself, Bill Belichick, nobody, any of his former teammates from the Patriots were even mentioned in the farewell retirement announcement by Tom Brady that he apparently became very upset and was screaming and yelling. He threw a temper tantrum. He was throwing things around the front offices in Foxborough. He was very, very upset. And I think it's hilarious that we've got all of these, all of these people trying to keep this story alive today. And they're talking, I wonder if Tom Brady's going to sign a one-day contract with the New England Patriots and retire as a Patriot and blah, blah, blah. I don't think it's going to happen for a while. I really don't think it's going to happen for a while.
So basically what you just told me is that you and Robert Kraft have something in common. You're both old guys that yell at clouds. My favorite thing to say in our weird segment, don't do crimes. Well, for once, I have a sports-related crime story.
Nice.
A Vegas man. His name is Daniel Asif. He's 51 years old. He did crimes. On January 28th, he drove his car backwards down I-215 in Las Vegas, and he was arrested. He was charged with a variety of charges, starting with attempted murder, also threw in a battery with a deadly weapon, and a DUI. At his bail hearing yesterday, Mr. Asif was asked why he could possibly have driven his car on the wrong side of the road.
Okay.
His response was that he was being told to do so by the ghost of Dale Earnhardt. That might be the most aggressive strategy I've ever heard in my life. Wow. I would love to have heard the defense meeting on that. First of all, this guy has a public defender. I promise you.
Oh, yeah.
There is no way that a high-priced attorney heard that and went, yeah, let's go with that. No way.
I mean, you could plead insanity with that.
This is the first... that might be what they're setting up here.
Right.
This is also the first trial that I have ever thought I would willingly go participate, but only if they let me be the foreman.
Okay.
Because when I read the finding, I would hold three fingers in the air the entire time I did it, and at the end, I would say, in the aforementioned action, we find the defendant guilty and raise hell, praise Dale. And then I would sit back down, and I would probably be arrested for whatever that charge is. What's the charge when you say
contempt?
Contempt.
Yeah. Contempt of court.
Look,
making a mockery of justice.
There's anything that Jeremy should be arrested for? Contempt probably makes the most sense.
He has a lot of contempt in him.
I do. I got some anger in me. And I got jokes.
You're just a contemptuous kind of guy. Wow. Yeah, that's an immediate insanity play.
Quite
the ghost of Dale Earnhardt is telling me to do things I shouldn't do. I mean, it would make more sense if he was only telling you to turn left, but driving the wrong way on the road, I don't get that.
The video's insane.
That's completely out of Dale's character.
The video is absolutely insane because he's doing about 100 in the wrong direction, and there's cars just everywhere trying to get out of the way.
Wow. Don't do crimes.
Don't do crimes.
Today is National Signing Day in college football.
For every team except Michigan.
Oh.
For Michigan, this is National Signing Day. Oh. But we'll get to that in the next hour.
That's right. Today's National Signing Day for colleges. And yesterday, or last night, Lane Kiffin is doing a press availability.
No. That's not his name.
Oh. He's got a different name now? What is his name now? Oh.
He's the Portal
Excuse
King.
me. The Portal King, Lane Kiffin, did a media availability where he got into, talking about National Signing Day and how big of a deal it is. And then he pops out a joke because Lane Kiffin has quickly become one of my favorite guys in all of sports.
Which is weird that I Yell at Clouds guy likes the guy that photoshopped himself on Joe Exotic's face with a tiger that had Portal written on its forehead.
And he said, or he made a joke about Texas A&M. Texas A&M, I told you about this. You had Texas A&M getting the number one class in the recruiting cycle, and there were reports that they had paid anywhere between, $30 and $40 million to secure this class, and all in name, image, and likeness money. And Lane Kiffin had a very good point that there are there are schools out there that have way more resources than we do, and we're going to lose this battle.
Of course you are.
We're going to keep losing this battle, and the NCAA has to do something. He said the NFL got it right. The NFL has it right, where you're signed to a contract. You can't go anywhere. You can't just up and leave in the middle of the season and go off to another team or transfer for next year or whatever. And they have salary caps. I don't know how in the world they would be able to put one of those in for college football, but that's what Lane Kiffin is calling for.
And I agree with him 100%.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing he said that I thought was so brilliant, we also have designated times when we can sign free agents. Caleb Williams just appeared at USC on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, as somebody that, let me put this nicely, I didn't do college so good. I don't really understand how somebody just 3 weeks into the semester goes, I go here now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, did he have a Backstreet Boys backpack on? Did his parents just move into the district? Like, what? How does that happen?
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got drop dead deadlines of when you have to be registered in school, and I'm sure the deadline was probably, today or something.
I'm just going to say, if Caleb Williams could show up 3 weeks into the semester, the fact that I saw going to class as a choice
option
that I didn't have to make.
Right.
Okay. It's a new world. Just, okay.
Did they take attendance in West Virginia?
It gives me hope that I could actually go back to college.
Did they take attendance in West Virginia?
I mean, there's certain there are certain classes that, they pass around a sheet. And, hey, Billy, sign me in. There's 400 people in his class. I don't think they'll notice I wasn't there. And then there's others where you're like, well, there's 8 people here, so I think they'll miss me.
Right. Lane Kiffin said, we used to have the 25-player rule. You could only have 25 in a class. But even at that point, if each one of them gets $1 million, you spent $25 million on, and that's nothing to some of these big schools.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Texas A&M hadn't been throwing money around like this since Eric Dickerson was coming out of high school.
and he says, look, it's different in the NFL. The guys in the NFL, they can make the decision. I've got enough money, signed a big enough contract last time. I don't need to take all of the money to go to, Jacksonville. I can take a little bit of a break and go play for, a contender like L.A. But these are 17, 18-year-old kids who are going to look at $1 million and go, yep, that's where I'm going to school. Don't care if I play. Don't care what happens. I'm taking $1 million.
And who's surprised?
Nobody's surprised.
Do you realize that Ole Miss finished at, I think it was 22 was where I saw it in the rankings. Now, that does not include transfers. Mm-hmm. Transfers are not lumped into your
which they killed
ranking.
The transfer portal.
They were number 1 with a bullet.
Oh, yeah. They got Jackson Dart, and they got Zach Evans from TCU.
Well, if Zach Evans shows up, until I see him in a helmet, I don't. I think he's on his 6th school now, so
something like that.
I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch there.
Right.
He's exactly right. You're going to have to legislate this somehow.
Mm-hmm.
The NCAA has done that same thing that you did with paying coaches to lose, sticking their fingers in their ears and go, nope, nothing's happening. We're fine. Now it's insanity.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot for the life of me figure out why anybody would want to be a college head coach right now. If you had options, you had NFL options, why would you sign up to do this?
Right.
Unless you're Lincoln Riley, who's the only team for 600 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And you just crush the West Coast, hang out on the beach, we're good. Everybody wants to play for me. I'm a genius. That I get. Brent Venables grinding it out in the plains. Yeah, it's going to be a tough sell for me.
Right.
And shocker of shockers, Lane Kiffin is the one that had to say it out loud.
Mm-hmm. I didn't think he was the smartest guy in the room, but I'm starting to think he is.
I'm starting to believe he is.
Right. I'm starting to think he is. Because not only is he speaking the truth about the NIL stuff, but he's also proving to be probably, what would you say, top 5 recruiter in college football right now? Aside from the money,
has nowhere near the money that these other schools do, and he's recruiting top 20 class. I mean, Hugh Freeze Okay, they're still replenishing the coffers from what Hugh Freeze did.
Right.
Hugh Freeze got it. He was like somebody that got a corporate credit card. He was a little loosey-goosey with how he spent things.
And then
Myrtle Beach Golf. That's
also,
if you know, you know.
And then also weighing in on the NIL issue was Nick Saban. So he was at the Senior Bowl Summit, and he was talking about all things college football. And, of course, name, image, and likeness was a part of it. And I'm going to give you this quote, and you tell me if you believe any of this or not. Nick Saban said, when we start using name, image, and likeness for a kid to come to our school, that's where I draw the line. He said, I hear these crazy people on TV saying that we are now doing it above board. We never did that. We never did it. We never cheated to get a player. We never paid players to come to our school, and now that's actually happening. People are making deals with high school players to go to their school. You believe it? You believe Nick Saban's never done that?
No.
I don't either.
I believe it's more likely that no NFL coach has ever gone, oh, we're just not winning.
We're just going to lose
not
games.
going to win. I love Nick Saban. I really do.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say that. I don't love Nick Saban. I respect him as the greatest to ever do what he does.
Right.
However, if you're trying to tell me that Alabama never paid players, everybody else did, but Alabama never did, okay. I was born at night. It was not last night.
Exactly.
And they use it now, and they should.
Of course. Last year.
Just like to me, the NIL thing is just like the transfer portal. Dabo Swinney will borderline refuse to use the transfer portal. Cool, that'll be your undoing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just totally up to you. If you want to keep doing that, that's fine. You're not going to be able to contend with these teams that do, because that is a different way to accumulate talent that you're just sticking your fingers in your ears and acting like it didn't happen. If Alabama, who has unbelievable support around the campus, is not looking at kids going, well, here's the thing. Bryce Young made $1 million before he ever threw a pass.
Right.
That is how rabid our fan base is.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing it wrong. And I'm not going to sit here by any stretch of the imagination and say I know what I'm talking about better than Nick Saban. He really doesn't have to do it, but you should.
And he did. Remember last year when the deal happened, Nick was out there talking about Bryce Young just made $1 million. He was making all these public statements about the $1 million that Bryce Young just got. That's exactly what that was.
That's
that was
the other part of this I didn't understand. Like, did you think we couldn't see you?
Right. That
were
was
you
a cue.
Were you going full 4-year-old and you had a blanket over your head and thought we couldn't see you?
Right. And I think it was at the same event. I think it was at the Senior Bowl Summit that he said that last year. Or it was some symposium that he was speaking at.
I'm still just
And there's
mad.
a reason you do that. Because you want everybody to know how much money they can make coming to your school. Nick Saban's not an idiot.
No.
But I believe he
stretch.
thinks we are.
I'm still just mad I'm not at the Senior Bowl this week.
Oh.
I was supposed to be at that
were you?
symposium.
Okay.
Yeah, a friend of mine from Memphis is at it and was sending me stupid Snapchats.
Mm-hmm.
I'm supposed to be down there hanging out with Nick Saban.
Well, you're not. You're stuck here listening to the old man yell at clouds.
I'm listening to Abe Simpson.
But next, you're going to get an opportunity to make our listeners some money, which you should be very, very happy about. Greene on Greene is coming up next.
All right, people, it's Valentine's Day. Everything has to be perfect.
Cheers, Chef.
At Ingalls, we know that not every Valentine's Day is 4-star perfection, with string quartets and swanky restaurants.
My boyfriend bought me flowers.
That it's not the money you spend or the elaborate lengths you go to.
Happy Valentine's Day.
It just has to come from the heart. Ingalls, we're with you every step of the way.
Being a real estate agent isn't about listing houses. It's about connecting to people. I need to find new buyers every day, so I promote my listings using radio commercials from iHeartAdBuilder.com. Now every time I have an open house, it's a full house.
A custom radio ad from iHeartAdBuilder is the fast, affordable way to drive customers to your business. Put the power of radio to work for you. Get started now at iHeartAdBuilder.com.
Thanks to PhD Weight Loss, the Sportsocracy is happy to report that we are over 50 pounds lighter now because of the healthy nutrition program that we are on with Dr. Ashley Lucas and PhD Weight Loss. We went in and we were kind of flabbergasted at the numbers that they threw at us and said, you can reach these goals. I mean, combined, we need to lose 200 pounds. And we've only been on it a little over 2 months, and now we're over 50 pounds down combined. It's all about nutrition and helping your body burn off that unwanted fat. 80% of fat weight loss is all about the nutrition.
I haven't weighed this little in almost a decade, and I'm going to keep going. This diet's convenient, and it makes you feel better.
That it does. I feel great. I am down more than 30 pounds now. Jeremy's down more than 20 pounds. Be healthier in 2022 with PhD Weight Loss. Just go to myphdweightloss.com. myphdweightloss.com.
At Walgreens, we know February is the season for LOVE. It's also something sweet for your sweetheart season. Or my favorite, wait, that's today's season? Or the just found out my kid has a crush season. Good luck, Mom. This Valentine's Day, Walgreens makes it easy to quickly get last-minute gifts with pickup in as little as 30 minutes. Because if it's Cupid season, it's Walgreens season.
Right now, premium chocolate bags and boxes are 2 for $8. Offer valid through 2/14 while supplies last. Restrictions apply. See Walgreens.com for details.
When others treat your fries as an afterthought, all you're left with are cold, soggy fries. That's why Wendy's new fries are ones you won't forget, guaranteed to be hot and crispy, or we'll replace them. We're talking natural cut, skin-on fries, perfectly seasoned with a hint of sea salt. In fact, they're even preferred almost 2-to-1 over McDonald's. These are fries so hot and crispy, they beg a new question.
What would you like with your fries?
Try them today, only at Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, taste preference based on a national taste test by an independent research company.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
Check it out, Limu, a roadside carnival.
Step right up, folks. Test your strength. Come see the fire-breathing baby.
Let's fan out and tell people that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Look! An emu wearing sunglasses!
Limu, you're famous. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Blitz that holiday debt and get $1,000 in your hand.
I just won $1,000.
Listen every hour from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. weekdays for your chance to win $1,000. Happening now.
Make this Valentine's Day sweet with Allen's Jewelry and Pawn. Find diamond earrings from only $19.95. All diamond solitaires, engagement rings, and anniversary bands are 20 to 50% off. Heart-shaped and select jewelry also up to 50% off. Now through Valentine's Day. Allen's Jewelry and Pawn.
Coffee's the closer's only.
Get him the money.
Then when you get the money, you get the power.
That watch costs more than your car.
Then when you get the power, then you get the woman.
Last night was reaffirmation of something that I have been doing on this show now for just over 2 years. If you're going to be wrong, be real wrong. Don't even have to watch the fourth quarter. Went 2-2 last night. That puts me at 37, 38-1 against the spread on the year. I got 4 picks for you tonight in the NBA. The first one, the Cleveland Cavaliers are a 5-point favorite tonight at Houston. There will be no Lauri Markkanen. There may very well be no Darius Garland. And I still don't understand this line. I know this team's hurt. They're still way better than Houston, and they have a rim defender that's going to keep Houston from doing the one thing that they can do, which is get to the rim. Mm-hmm. This line's way too low. Give me the Cavs -5. The Los Angeles Lakers are a 4-point favorite tonight at home against the Portland Trailblazers. Without Damian Lillard, this Trailblazer team is terrible. I mean, they're getting shellacked by bad teams. Now you're telling me they're going to go on the road and keep this within just over a possession of the Lakers? I don't care who plays. It doesn't matter. The Blazers are being championed by Robert Covington right now. Stop that. That line is ridiculous. Give me the Lakers -4. Finally, the Charlotte Hornets take on the Boston Celtics tonight. Celtics are a 6-point favorite. Over-under is 224. There will be no Gordon Hayward tonight. Let me tell you a fun story about Gordon Hayward that I didn't expect, and I bet you don't either. They're awful defensively without Gordon Hayward. The Celtics will get anything they want. The number's too low. Give me the Celtics -6, under 224.
Go and do likewise, gents. The money's out there. You pick it up, it's yours. You don't, I got no sympathy for you.
And you can take all those wagers over to betus.com. BetUS.com. Use the promo code SPORTSOCRACY and get a 125% deposit bonus on whatever you put in there. up to $2,500.
Does that stat surprise you?
What?
I mean, you would think with no Gordon Hayward, since he's been away from the team, you would assume the offense would go sideways.
A little.
The offense has gone down. It's not been as impressive. Now, granted, they have played a couple teams that are not very good defensively, but they have been just abhorrent defensively. I think they're in like the 22nd percentile in defensive efficiency without Gordon Hayward on the floor.
Wow. That's kind of shocking.
Mind-boggling to me because he's fine. Not a great defender.
Right.
Not some lockdown guy.
It doesn't shock me as much as the 30 pounds that I have lost in our little venture here with PhD weight loss. I am so thrilled with the progress on this program that Jeremy and I have both had. I'm supposed to, or my goal is to lose 120 pounds. And I'm already a quarter of the way there, more than a quarter of the way there, and they're keeping me on track. And Jeremy, you've had great success as well.
My weight loss goal was 80 pounds, and I am over a quarter of the way as well. I'm down 21 pounds. I feel better, and a weird thing that I didn't expect, I'm sleeping better. The convenience was what drew me to this, but now the fact that I can actually sleep has been an unexpected benefit.
As I went in today for my weigh-in, I was feeling a little taken aback because I had a neutral week. No gain, no loss. And you know what? Their confidence in me helps me know that I can get back on track and I can get the job done. You want people that believe in you and your weight loss and your journey to health? Go to myphdweightloss.com. myphdweightloss.com.
This is your Exergen Temporal Scanner weather forecast on ESPN Asheville.
A couple of sprinkles showing up late tonight up from the southwest. The bigger rains come to Asheville for Thursday. Mild temperatures, cloudy tonight and 41 degrees. Almost an inch of rain up from the southwest for Thursday, high 56. There are some flood alerts up to the west of us for some of the higher elevations. High Thursday 56, low Thursday night 52, and then more light rains on Friday with a high 56. I'm meteorologist Scott Larimore. That's the latest Weather Channel forecast.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. Are you a safe driver? Are you looking to save money? With DriveWise from Allstate, the safer you drive, the more you can save. At Allstate, better protection costs a whole lot less. Visit Allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
Over 50,000 police officers are assaulted each year. Help police by not escalating. Address any complaints after the encounter. Comply now, complain later. Keep everybody safe. This message brought to you by the National Police Association. Learn more at nationalpolice.org.
I bought football tickets for my husband's birthday, and now I'm in a football bubble. All I see online are articles and ads about football. I hate feeling manipulated. I downloaded DuckDuckGo and saw a difference right away. Take back your privacy online with DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
Do you have taxiety? That uncertain feeling before doing your taxes? Filing on your own or choosing the wrong partner can be stressful. Connect with Liberty Tax and then just breathe in and cash out.
Get $50 by filing before February 20th.
Go ahead, feel it.
Visit StopTaxiety.com to schedule your appointment and say farewell to the stress of tax season. Liberty Tax. Let's end taxiety. At participating locations, terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
From the Ingalls Studios, this is ESPN Asheville, WPEK, W225CJ Fairview, WMXF Waynesville, and iHeart radio station.
I'm Doug Brown. Former Dolphins coach Brian Flores with more to say today on ESPN's Get Up. Flores is suing the NFL, the Giants, Broncos for racial discrimination and unethical practices. Law professor and Sportico legal expert Michael McCann.
A lot of what we saw in that complaint we're never going to see because there's a very likely that this litigation is resolved before there's transparency. And I think that could leave sort of a bitter taste that this case maybe gets settled out of court.
Michael McCann on Greene. Flores says Dolphins owner Stephen Ross offered him $100,000 for each loss during the 2019 season. Turning down that offer, Flores believes, in part led to his firing 3 weeks ago. ESPN's Rich Cimini reports Jets offensive lineman Cameron Clark won't play football again. Clark is only 24 years old, but has been told he'd risk paralysis if he keeps playing. Clark missed this season after a spinal cord injury during training camp.
The new Venture X card from Capital One. Earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars and 5x miles on flights when you book through Capital One Travel, plus 2x miles on all other purchases. Capital One. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Now your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Thanks. That's thanks. Enter it on our station website now.
Log on now to ESPNABL.com.
He's a degenerate gambler.
You are a smelly pirate hooker.
And he's cheaper than oxygen.
He's useless.
But somehow, they make it work. Jeremy Greene, Tank Spencer. There's no holding back in the Sportsocracy. Presented by Ingles Supermarkets.
And welcome back into the Ingles studio here on ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. The Sportsocracy heard everywhere on the iHeart Radio app, seen everywhere on YouTube. Just go to thesportsocracy.com. Click on that live video link. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can get on the chat. You can also join our little membership group here, the House of Reprehensibles. And we have a whole lot of fun and hang out with you each and every day here for 3 hours. 2 on the radio, 1 on the web show, solely the web show today. Going to be continuing the off-season previews. We pick 8 teams every Wednesday to do this with, and today we're going to talk about Jeremy's Jets.
Woohoo!
Yeah. The 49ers, the Titans, those are just some of the ones that we're going to talk about in the third hour, only available on the YouTube stream.
I have a stat about a couple of teams, including the one you just said, that is enough to make me feel warm and fuzzy.
Okay. Not feeling warm and fuzzy today? Michigan Wolverines.
No, I don't think they're feeling tremendously warm and fuzzy about the fact that their head coach is in Minnesota interviewing for the Vikings job on National Signing Day.
Yeah. Big day in college football, but Jim Harbaugh's like, I'm getting the hell out of here, man. He is. I again believe he would not be doing this if he didn't have every intention of taking the job.
Have you heard the list of finalists
for the Michigan job?
No, for the Minnesota job.
Oh, for the Minnesota job.
So Minnesota is. This is another one of those, and this kind of goes back to that Stephen Ross thing we were talking about.
Okay.
You can say anything to me that you want.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that I believe it. So their finalists are Patrick Graham, the defensive coordinator from the Giants, Kevin O'Connell, the offensive coordinator of the Rams. There's one more. I can't remember who it was. It was another defensive coach.
Mm-hmm.
Raheem Morris, also from the Rams.
Okay.
And Jim Harbaugh. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here. I've already seen one of those guys be a head coach. Didn't go particularly well. I like Patrick Graham a lot. But Brian Daboll has already announced that he will be the new he will remain the defensive coordinator unless he gets another job.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he would put a pin in that unless he full well knew Patrick Graham was not getting this job.
Right.
So that brings it down to Kevin O'Connell, who's been a coordinator for a
1
year.
year.
I don't believe you. You can say it to me until you're blue in the face. I don't believe you.
Mm-hmm.
This is Jim Harbaugh's job to lose.
Agreed.
To be really honest with you, when we set this up for today, I fully planned on it being announced by now.
And I'm kind of shocked it hasn't been.
I'm not shocked because you're trying to make sure everything is right.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably a lot of personnel control that goes into this decision. The GM, they were together in San Francisco.
Yes, for 2 years.
There's probably had to be a lot of talks here. There is no shot that Jim Harbaugh would even fly to Minnesota, let alone take the day out of it. You would never allow schools to cross-recruit you like this, negatively recruit you, if you weren't taking this job.
No.
There's a reason. We talked about him taking the Raiders job.
Mm-hmm.
What day did he interview there again? Oh, yeah, you don't know. And you know why you don't know? Because it happened in all cloak and dagger, probably on the tarmac at some airport, because he didn't know if he was going to take that job.
Mm-hmm.
This one he knows. And I'm not going to lie, I don't blame him.
Yeah.
And there's one very simple reason as to why.
Why is that?
If Jim Harbaugh takes the Minnesota job,
yep,
and Aaron Rodgers somehow leaves Green Bay, he's doing it within the next 2 years, no matter what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say he does it right now. Aaron pulls the Tom and just goes, nope, I'm done. I want to whack surfboards and play my ukulele and host Jeopardy.
Right.
Minnesota's the best team in that division immediately.
Indeed.
And it's not even close.
No.
They're 4 games better than any team in that division.
This is the best chance Jim Harbaugh has to win. He's not going, the chances of him turning Michigan into the perennial Big Ten power, very, very small.
But
everybody
but
expects
that doesn't matter. He did what he came to Michigan to do.
Mm-hmm.
He beat Ohio State.
Yes.
And I told you this after they got shellacked by Georgia. I'm not going to tell you that Jim Harbaugh and I think the same way, but we're both hyper competitive and we're both type A personalities.
Mm-hmm.
You know what people like that don't like? When they realize that the people around them will settle for mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
And that is all I saw. Michigan didn't care that they got dump trucked by Georgia in the college football playoff semifinal. They cared they beat Ohio State. And I firmly believe that rubbed Jim the wrong way. And he's been dipping his toe in like, maybe the Raiders. But, man, the Raiders have the Broncos and the Chargers and the Chiefs.
See,
that's not a clear path to me being good.
I can see where you're going with that, and it makes complete and utter sense to me. In my belief, not being attached to the situation or Jim Harbaugh in any way, from the outside, I think he's had this in his mind for a while. He knew he had to stay at Michigan until he got it done. That was his competitive spirit, was I have to be here. I have to get this job done. I have to beat Ohio State. I was the guy. He put all the pressure on himself as the Michigan guy who was going to bring them back to prominence. And then once he did it, now the door opens to the NFL. And guess what? Everybody wants you. There's not one job opening in the NFL where that front office did not go, can we get Jim Harbaugh? Can we possibly get him in the building? And he knew. He knew after he got the job done, he took the pay cut, he went through all the things that he had to do to keep his job, not get fired or whatever. And we don't think he was going to get fired anyway. But it ended the best way it possibly can. Because, true or false, Michigan hit the watershed moment this year, making the college football playoff and beating Ohio State.
You buried the lead there. Beating Ohio State. That's what they cared about.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to disagree with you on one thing. I think he made this decision in the last 7 calendar days.
Really?
If you notice that it's really late in the process, like we already have the Super Bowl matchup.
Yep.
Usually all of these jobs are filled by now. I think he saw how everything played out, and Michigan never came to him. The Raider thing got floated, and now I really am starting to believe that there's some truth to the rumor of that his camp floated that to see if Michigan would come with a bigger offer.
Maybe.
I never really believed that, but now I'm putting 2 and 2 together. The Minnesota job's been open for weeks. You're just now interviewing the first time? 3 weeks after it was? No.
Well, they went looking for the GM,
and I understand that.
And then Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah got the job, and he goes, "I could work with that guy."
Yeah, and he got it. He got the job 10 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me there couldn't be a plane that got out of Michigan to Minnesota, which by the way is not that long of a flight,
right?
Any day other than National Signing Day? I don't believe you.
Yeah,
I think the National Signing Day thing. I think that's 100% a shot at Michigan.
Really? That's just the middle finger Jim Harbaugh on the way out. Like, biggest day of the recruiting cycle, I'm done.
I've spent my entire tenure at Michigan with you not appreciating me.
Yep.
As one of the 10 best coaches in America. Then you cut my pay. The next year, I do everything you asked me to do. And maybe I just floated out a little rumor that maybe I want the Raiders job.
So he wanted them to come back.
Nobody 100%.
Okay, all right.
That's exactly what and look.
That's what you would do.
That's exactly what I would do.
You can finish it.
Oh, that's 100% what I would do.
Right.
If you got this excited about beating Ohio State, first of all, that's going to give pause for cause to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm going to look around and go, I don't love that you're this happy that we beat the rival, won the conference, and then got just toasted by Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to love that. But then I might just float, hey, about we talk about that contract where I, gave you half of my money back. Maybe we can talk about that. there's other people feeling around. Raiders are interested. Raiders need a coach.
Right.
I like it in Vegas. I'm not sure he ever had an intention of taking that job. Because that's not a clear path to winning.
No.
Now, don't get me wrong. I think the Raiders are more talented today than the Minnesota Vikings. But you mix in the GM, you mix in the young talent, you mix in how well that team's drafted, and then you look at the division.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit's a year away from being a year away. I think the pieces are in place, but you are at a massive talent deficiency to everybody in the NFL.
They're at least 3 years in my mind from picking in the top half of the draft.
Oh, I don't know that I agree with that.
Okay.
I mean, it depends. I can't look more than a year out.
Of course.
But I think they need 2 good drafts to have the steady foundation to be a competitive team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you have the pieces in place. That, to me, is how you do a team overhaul. You get the front office and the coach in year 1, start building talent in year 2, get the quarterback in year 3. That's the ideal, perfect scenario because then you got the quarterback on the long-term deal, 4 years up on a rookie deal, 5th-year option, 5-year window.
You've already got
the best you can have in the NFL.
Yeah, you've already got all your other talent in place and comfortable. I got you.
And Harbaugh, I don't think he ever loved how it ended in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
He felt like San Francisco chose Trent Baalke over him because they did.
They did.
And at the end of the day, he was 49-22-1. I think it's the 6th highest winning percentage in NFL history among coaches.
Yep.
A 5. I slided him 1. He's behind Guy Chamberlain, who I have no idea who that is because it was 100 years ago. John Madden, Vince Lombardi, and George Allen. That's the only 3 coaches in modern NFL history with better winning percentage than him. And he looks at it and goes, I don't get the respect of those guys. I don't get the same kind of respect of that. And I think he's that kind of coach. There is no doubt to me he is the best hire in this market. And with Harbaugh, and knowing now what's in the front office and the way they've drafted and the way the scouting department is, I wouldn't be shocked if that was the best team in the NFC in a year. Kirk Cousins.
That seems like putting a lot on him, but
well, just think about it. We talked about this last week. Look around the landscape of the NFC.
Oh, yeah, it's crumbling.
Kirk Cousins could be the 3rd best quarterback in that conference this year. Not a year from now.
No.
This year. If Aaron leaves, and now you're in that Dak, Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, boo.
Russell Wilson.
He could be out.
He could be gone, yeah.
He could be in Denver for all we know.
He could be.
And I just feel like Harbaugh looks at this and goes, I'm getting older. This might be the last good job I get offered.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's 58 years old. The fact he played in the league kind of skews our judgment on Jim Harbaugh. He's 58 years old.
Which is not really that old for a coach.
I mean, that's pretty old to be taking a job that's... I mean, this is not a ready, set job. This is not like he's going to Tampa Bay.
Right.
It's not like Bruce Arians retired and he went, okay, I need a quarterback. That's the only thing I need because everything else is ready for me to compete.
Right.
There's a little, I got to make this roster look my own.
Yeah, I need a whole defense.
I got a first-time GM here
right.
that I'm very comfortable with, but this is going to be my baby for 5 years. This is my shot.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to lather up and do this again at 64.
No, and I agree with it. I agree that, and I think this, like I said, this is the best place for him to win and to possibly be a champion. I'm not saying Super Bowl. I'm just saying you could win the division. You could maybe win the NFC in 3 years when who knows what the state of the NFC is going to be like at that point.
You had a hyper-efficient offense. Hyper-efficient.
Mm-hmm.
With a first-time offensive coordinator who took a quarterback's coach job when he got fired. Clint Kubiak's the new new quarterback's coach in Denver?
Denver.
That sounded right, but it sounded weird in my head.
Yeah, no, he's going to be on Eberflus's staff.
That's Chicago.
Or, Hackett's staff.
There you go.
Sorry.
So it's not like you had some savant running this offense, and the defense was not good. Look at the staff he could bring in. Jim Harbaugh could put together an incredible staff because people in the know in the NFL really believe in this guy. I've always said he was more of an NFL coach than he was a college coach.
Yes.
In college football, you recruit the players. In the NFL, you pick the players. So the fact that he wears mom pants and is a little abrasive doesn't really matter. In college, kids have a billion options, and he's recruited reasonably well. But this is just way easier for the kind of personality that he has.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look around the division and go, first-time head coach in Matt Eberflus. Second-year coach in crazy, Big Lebowski-looking Dan Campbell.
Right.
It's Matt LaFleur,
mm-hmm.
who may or may not have a quarterback. He may be trotting Jordan Love out against me, and that's 6 of my games a year.
Yep.
And you look around the rest, we're going to get 4 more with the 3 divisions in the NFC every single year.
Mm-hmm.
That's 10 of my games where I'm probably at a talent advantage in 8 of them or more.
Mm-hmm.
It makes all the sense in the world, and it really irritates me that I didn't see it before it started getting reported.
What, that this should be the spot? This could be the landing spot?
This is what makes sense.
Of course it does.
Harbaugh's had options, and I got news for you. You can listen to anybody you want to. If you don't know that Jim Harbaugh has had overtures and been willing to listen, I can't help you.
Mm-hmm.
I know my team's done it at least once. There's a rumor it's been twice since he went to Michigan. The Detroit Lions did it at one point. The Raiders had some level of interest. He's been very guarded about what he's going to do. And this situation makes all the sense. You have a young superstar wide receiver. You've got a vet second receiver in Thielen. Young tight end that fits his offense profoundly in Irv Smith. Dalvin Cook.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got pieces. All right, let's say you don't want to bring back Danielle Hunter. You know what Danielle Hunter's going to get? A copious amount of draft capital where you can turn this team into exactly what you want it to.
Yep.
You know the GM. You're comfortable with the GM's comfortable with you. And you're who he wants. It's a perfect, it is literally a ready-made perfect scenario for this type of guy. And I just don't see how it doesn't happen.
Yeah, he fits the culture too. I mean, I didn't hear you say that, but I mean, he fits that Minnesota culture. They've always been the lunch pail kind of, just like Buffalo. I've always, I mean, Minnesota's fans are that kind of fan.
I mean, they don't put each other through tables, but they do dress up like the cast of Vikings.
No, they don't, and they really love Skol. I don't know what that's all about, but they do. They dig it.
If she gets Copenhagen.
No, not Copenhagen. Skol. All the time.
Oh, you mean that thing they say that I've never understood.
Thank you. Finally got there. Jim Harbaugh, I think this is a perfect marriage. I think he should take the job. I think he's going to take the job.
I do too. I think it was a formality.
I think it was a shoe-in as soon as this came out. I think I said that yesterday. And you know what? I love it for the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm going to be all in on the Skol as well coming up next year. Now,
our resident Baltimore Ravens fan, Stephen Tao. Fun fact, Ray Lewis's first career sack was on Jim Harbaugh.
Nice. Bridging it all together. Speaking of bridging stories here.
Well, if Jim Harbaugh leaves for Minnesota, then what's going to happen with Michigan? We're calling this a domino second hour of the program.
You're in the Sportsocracy on ESPN Asheville and the Sportsocracy.com.
This is your Exergen Temporal Scanner weather forecast on ESPN Asheville.
A couple of sprinkles showing up late tonight up from the southwest. The bigger rains come to Asheville for Thursday. Mild temperatures, cloudy tonight and 41 degrees. Almost an inch of rain up from the southwest for Thursday, high 56. There are some flood alerts up to the west of us for some of the higher elevations. High Thursday 56, low Thursday night 52, and then more light rains on Friday with a high 56. I'm meteorologist Scott Lariamore. That's the latest Weather Channel forecast.
This is your time saver traffic on the new ESPN Asheville.
Delay free. Checking the drive time from Bent Creek to Avery Creek via NC 191 southbound Brevard Road. Drive time 9 minutes. I'm Lee Minfield with your time saver traffic.
This report is sponsored by DuckDuckGo. Protect your privacy for free with DuckDuckGo.
I bought football tickets for my husband's birthday, and now I'm in a football bubble. All I see online are articles and ads about football. I hate feeling manipulated. I downloaded DuckDuckGo and saw a difference right away. Take back your privacy online with DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
Did you know select Ingalls markets now offer curbside service? Shopping has never been easier with all the quality and service you expect from Ingalls. Visit Ingalls-markets.com to find a store near you and start shopping.
Paid for by Consumer Tort Network. Always check with your doctor before discontinuing any medication. Has your doctor told you that you have cancer? Have you taken Zantac or another generic version of this popular drug to help treat stomach issues? Then pay close attention to this message. The FDA said it detected low levels of a probable cancer-causing chemical known as NDMA in Zantac and other generic forms of the drug. Some of the largest stores in the country have them off the shelves. If you've been diagnosed with cancer and you've taken Zantac or a generic equivalent, call the Consumer Tort Network now at 800-513-6073. You could receive a free cash award and have your medical expenses covered. We represent some of the largest law firms in America. They have proven records fighting the big pharmaceutical giants, and there's no upfront cost to you. They only get paid if you win. We're here to help, so please call now. 800-513-6073. 800-513-6073. That's 800-513-6073.
When others treat your fries as an afterthought, all you're left with are cold, soggy fries. That's why Wendy's new fries are ones you won't forget, guaranteed to be hot and crispy, or we'll replace them. We're talking natural cut, skin-on fries, perfectly seasoned with a hint of sea salt. In fact, they're even preferred almost 2-to-1 over McDonald's. These are fries so hot and crispy, they beg a new question.
What would you like with your fries?
Try them today, only at Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, taste preference based on a national taste test by an independent research company.
Has this ever happened to you? My friend was telling me about his new pair of headphones, so I looked them up online. Now, everywhere I go is a creepy ad for those headphones I looked at one time. I hate that feeling like I'm being watched. I got DuckDuckGo and saw a difference right away. With one download, you can search and browse privately, avoiding trackers, all for free. It's that simple. Take back your privacy online with DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
Rogue Combat Club, Asheville's home for comprehensive martial arts training, has a goal for our community, one that's stronger, more fit, and unwavers in its support of one another. Rogue Combat Club's instructors have competed at the highest levels and offer classes for everyone from young children to adults in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, and wrestling. Rogue Combat Club classes can help you boost your self-confidence and self-defense skills while weeding out the egos and intimidation found at other gyms. Join today at roguecombatclub.com.
The Sportsocracy.
You were just dumbing a bag of hammers.
It's ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. It is the Sportsocracy. Check us out at thesportsocracy.com. Click on that live video link. And Jim Harbaugh, we believe he's going to take the Minnesota job. Again, I'm shocked it hasn't been announced already. Like, as soon as he got off the plane, he was just like, yep, I'll take it. And then we just get it all over with. But there's still mystery going on. And now Michigan has to make a decision. If Jim Harbaugh does leave, what are they going to do with their head coaching position? And even if he doesn't leave, something still needs to be done. Like, you can't have your coach leave you on National Signing Day and then just come back and act like nothing happened.
What are you going to do?
I have no idea. You can't do anything.
There's nothing.
He's under
you can
contract.
do.
You can't do anything.
Yeah, this is kind of like, I'm going to equate this to something. This is kind of like me and HWA.
Okay.
If she makes me angry, what am I going to do? Yeah. She's a 12 and I'm a 4.
Right.
Okay. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit in my chair and I'm going to shut up. That's what I'm going to do.
You just go take it.
Yeah, unless it's something really drastic,
right.
Then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit here and I'm going to mind my business.
It's going to be uncomfortable if he does.
I don't disagree with that.
To say the very least. But today, it was reported by Chris Ballas of the Wolverine at thewolverine.com, apparently. It's not a comic book website, as I thought it was.
There's a reason I tell the jokes on this show.
That Matt Rule is at the top of Michigan's wish list for replacements for Jim Harbaugh. So the question comes, why not?
So you know what I'm going to say.
Of course.
Where do I immediately go when things like this happen?
Where do you immediately go?
What is the great truth serum in all of sports?
The money?
Las Vegas.
Oh, Vegas.
Follow Vegas.
Okay.
Sportsline put out their odds.
Okay.
For if Jim Harbaugh leaves, who would be the most likely guy to take the job?
Mm-hmm.
Josh Gaddis is one. And I would agree with that. He's the most likely because there's no impediments. There's no having to leave Carolina, no nothing like that. Bill O'Brien is two.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to disagree with you for the square. There is no shot Bill O'Brien would take this job. No,
Really?
zero.
Really?
Less that there's a better job. There's a better chance that Bill O'Brien and his butt chin will be sitting between us next week than that he will be the head coach at Michigan.
Okay.
Matt Campbell's 3.
Mm-hmm.
Hate to break your heart, Matt Campbell's not leaving after signing day to take your job. He's not.
Right.
He has too many other options, and he does have NFL aspirations, and he's comfortable in Ames.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Hart is 4, former Michigan running back. I think's the running backs coach.
Yes, he is.
PJ Fleck's 5. You left out he couldn't get out of his Minnesota contract with the greatest set of attorneys in the world because they locked him down till the end of time.
Mm-hmm.
First 2 years, he has virtually no out. The
Okay.
buyout is insane.
Okay.
Matt Rule's 6.
Really?
Of
6?
these 6, 3 of them don't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Bill O'Brien makes no sense. Matt Campbell makes no sense. PJ Fleck makes no sense. The other 2 are Michigan coaches.
Well, hang on. Dispel the Bill O'Brien thing for why would he not take this
Because Bill
job?
O'Brien has higher aspirations than that.
He wants to be back
Why
in the
in
NFL.
the world would I leave Alabama to take the Michigan job for an hour? He wants to be back in the NFL,
Okay.
and he's going to have chances to be back in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
He's not taking the Michigan job. Why would I go? I just watched what you did to Jim Harbaugh, who, by the way, is a better coach than me, and I know it. And he's one of you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm brought from Alabama. I was the coach at Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
What, because me and Tom are friends, you think that Michigan's not going to just cripple him? Out.
Right.
No shot.
Okay.
The other 2 that make sense are on the Michigan staff.
Mm-hmm.
You really think they're just going to go, Jim left, but we just promote a guy? No. They've done that before. Do you remember Brady Hoke? That didn't go so well.
Right.
Brady Hoke, now the head coach of San Diego State. Things going quite swimmingly for him.
So are you saying you believe that Matt Rule is not an option?
I 100% think he's an option. I think he's the option.
I think so, too.
I think he's the only option.
Mm-hmm. I think
you chase Matt Rule, and I think that's why it's coming out.
Yeah.
Is that you're laying the groundwork for Harbaugh's going to leave, and you're going to have jilted liver syndrome
Mm-hmm.
of our high school sweetheart just left us, and we don't want to be alone. So we're not going to hire off this staff. Michigan fans, I'm telling you right now, you go 5-7, buddy, and get beat by 60 by Ohio State next year.
Especially if your choice ends up being Mike Hart. I'm not saying he's a bad coach
But
or
he's
anything.
a Michigan guy. That's the reason that they read these tea leaves, because Michigan's one of those places, we got to have a Michigan man. Well, I think you've learned your lesson on that.
Yeah.
I think you've learned your lesson on that. If the ultimate Michigan man spurns you and goes back to the NFL, I think that will be the last time we ever hear that term.
Mm-hmm.
I know Rich Rod left a bad taste in your mouth. I'm well aware of that.
I believe this should be the move. I believe that Matt Rule should just say, gone. See y'all later.
It would be best for all entities involved.
Right, because Matt Rule's going to get fired next year if he doesn't turn things around, and I don't see that happening.
But the division's not good. There are a lot of reasons that I could see him wanting to stay in Carolina. But conversely, there's a lot of reasons I could see him wanting to take Michigan as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's a team that's not bereft of talent. I mean, yeah, he's going to get a blip year. He'll get a blip year.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'll go out and do exactly what he does. He'll crush the transfer portal because that's what he always did.
Yep.
He'll come through and find these 2- and 3-star kids that become stars. Robbie Anderson, P.J. Walker. Did it at Temple, did it at Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
The guys at Baylor, guess what? They're getting drafted in the NFL now. My top 300 board, 4 Baylor defensive players.
Yep.
Some of them that could be day 2 picks. You know what they all have in common? Not one of them was better than a 3-star. And you take the Michigan, the Michigan budget, the Michigan money, and you apply this ability to build a program, I absolutely understand why Matt Rule would want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you job security. There's nothing Carolina can do or say that will give you the kind of security that Michigan would.
No.
Nothing. There's nothing they can say.
His job security right now is, like, if you had to put a percentage on it, I would say it's about 7.5%.
And the thing I said about Harbaugh's a type A. Harbaugh's a grinder to the highest extreme.
Mm-hmm.
You can infer from this whatever you want to. You can take one look at Matt Rule and go, you're not that. I'm not saying you're not a leader. I'm not saying you're not a great coach. You and Jim Harbaugh have a big difference. And I could see a path where Matt Rule just saw how over the moon they were about beating Ohio State, and He goes, that's all I have to do? All I have to do is beat Michigan State and Ohio State every 5 years, and you're ready to build statues of me? I've turned this roster around completely, and they hate me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even go to the grocery store. And I could see that being appealing to him.
I agree. I think it's the best decision that Matt Rule could make, is just to leave the Panthers now. And the question is, if he does that, what are the Carolina Panthers going to do? There are still options out there. We'll talk about them in just a minute. First, let's get weird.
On the weird scale, there's Vegas, there's Florida, and there's Asheville. Let's get weird, Asheville.
Oh, there is one lock that you can put it on the board. You can already take it to the bank because Anita said so.
I have no idea who this person is.
I don't either. She's a singer. She was on with Jimmy Fallon last night, and so it came up, who's going to win the Super Bowl? And she said, you can lock it in right now. Cincinnati Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl. And I'm not really sure if they wanted the answer that they got when it was, well, why are the Bengals going to win the Super Bowl? She's like, because one of my guys plays for them. Yeah, one of my guys. She's got guys.
Hey.
In different area codes. And
more power to you.
She's like, I'm a woman. I have needs. I travel around the world all the time. I got a bunch of guys. And one of them just so happens to play for the Cincinnati Bengals. And essentially what she said was, we going to get together before the Super Bowl happens, and he's going to be inspired like he's never been inspired before.
I'm going to make sure the mind gets right. They're gonna have a film session, and that's what I think she's talking about.
Right.
So they're gonna break down, LA's pick plays out of the slot, talk about some too deep coverage.
Move on before I make a joke I'm gonna regret.
I didn't do that on purpose, but you made it weird.
I'm sure you didn't.
There's a city in New Jersey that apparently winter's gonna last forever. Yesterday was Groundhog Day, and that means that our lovable friend. I never can say this word. What's Phil's first name?
Punxsutawney.
Punxsutawney Phil.
Yeah.
If he comes out of his hole and sees his shadow, 6 more weeks of winter. Is that how that works?
Yeah.
If he sees his shadow, it's 6 more weeks of winter. If not, short winter, we got a month.
I think it's the other way around. I don't know. I don't care.
It
never works. It's a damn varmint. It can't tell the weather.
Rodents, okay? I am not pro-rodent. Well, and apparently yesterday, in a New Jersey town, they have an imitation of Phil, and his name is Milltown Mel.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday was his big day. The only problem is that he died on Monday.
Oh,
poor Milltown Mel. It was his big day. This is like Groundhog Christmas. This is what you're here for.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that you're not scurried away and you're living the pampered life in a heated room, because you're supposed to pop out of this hole and go, hey. Winner, no winner. He didn't. The only problem is they couldn't find a replacement groundhog.
Wait.
Because groundhogs hibernate.
Oh, yeah.
So they've had Milltown Mel tucked away, doing stuff, living his groundhog life.
Right.
They didn't have, all they had was babies.
I feel like they could have found some dudes that'd be like, hey, I need a groundhog here stat for tomorrow morning.
Now, this is where I am a problem solver. Because if this problem had fallen on me, I would have called our buddy Robbie Wright that owns Halloween Express, and I said, Rob, I need a groundhog costume, okay? And I would have thrown Tank in the groundhog costume and dug a big hole and seen if he had seen a shadow.
Now, what? Why do I have to be the groundhog?
You know I'm not going to do it.
Well, that's true.
I don't like I don't like birds, I don't like rodents, and I don't like varmints.
Right.
I don't even know what that word means, but I've heard enough people say it that I don't think I want to learn what it means.
A varmint?
I don't know what a varmint is.
A varmint is a rodent. It's just a little animal.
But there's other things that go into varmint that are not rodents.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that includes everything. That includes skunks and mice and moles, and varmints are just varmints.
My grandfather once called a worm a varmint, and it broke my brain. That's the one time I've heard somebody use that word. It didn't make any sense. So I think you might have had that wrong, but I don't know. I've
always thought that fur was necessary to have a varmint, which is why I'm going to start calling Jeremy that.
There are many things that you can call me. A varmintologist is not one of them. I have never been accused of being a varmintologist.
Bingo. I don't even know if that's a thing, but I want it to be now.
It's not, but I made it one.
All right, Mr. Varmintologist. What are the Carolina Panthers going to do? If Matt Rule, first off, I know what the answer is for Carolina Panther fans. If Matt Rule up and says today, I'm going to go take the Michigan job, they're all going to go, good for you, get the hell out of town. But what are the Panthers going to do? And I
would make the argument this is the best case scenario for Carolina.
I agree.
There's nothing that could go more right for you than you're the last team in the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have enough young talent to be attractive. You're just going to have some leeway. And here's what no coach is going to want. They're not going to want somebody that you're committed to that they had no say in picking.
Mm-hmm.
I've said this as many times I'm going to say it. There is no doubt this is the truth. They're not taking a quarterback at 6.
No.
I hate to break it to you, Carolina Panther fans. You're not taking a quarterback at 6.
No.
You're in it with Sam Darnold.
Offensive line.
Charles Cross. Ike McQuano if he were to fall to you. Which I don't think he will. But there's a path. There is a path where this could go so perfectly well for the Carolina Panthers. Because let's just say Matt Rule decides he wants to take the Michigan job.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL's not for him. He wants to take his Columbia weird shirts and mosey on to greener pastures, or at least colder pastures in Michigan. Do you realize how many qualified head coaches are not going to get a job in this cycle?
Mm-hmm.
Eric Bieniemy. If Harbaugh takes the Minnesota job, there's nowhere for him to land. He doesn't want the New Orleans job. He doesn't want the Texans job.
Right.
He doesn't want the Jaguars job. There's nowhere for him to go. Carolina could swoop right in and go, hey, cherry pick your staff. Hey, Bieniemy, you want to bring Mike Kafka with you to be your offensive coordinator? Yeah, we can do that.
It'd be way better than what we got.
Oh, that would be. I'm telling you right now, Panthers fan, I'm not trying to get your hopes up. I'm just saying that has been floated that Mike Kafka would likely be his offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm. And if you can do that and give him, look, you got Sam Darnold for a year. Turn him into something and we'll pay him. If you don't turn him into something, guess what? We got options. I think it would be best case scenario for all involved. Best for Matt Rule to go back to college. Best for the Carolina Panthers to move on with something else. It'd be an opportunity for David Tepper not to take so many lumps that he's been taking over the Matt Rule hiring and giving him $8.5 million a year.
There's really not a loser.
No,
it's
and
one
you
of
could
the very few decisions that you could ever see in the history of sports. There's no loser.
Yeah.
There's no problem. There's no bad. Harbaugh wins. Minnesota wins. Matt Rule wins. Michigan wins. Carolina wins. Sam Darnold wins.
Eric Bieniemy wins. The NFL as a whole wins.
You all win.
Yeah.
You all win.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm adamantly waiting for the first domino to fall. Come on, Jim.
Come on, Jim.
Be a team player, Jim. We need you to take this Minnesota job in the next 20 minutes.
Right. It'd be great if it happens.
But even if it's not Bieniemy, it could be Byron Leftwich. It could be a slew of other people.
Mm-hmm.
And you restart the clock. You go into the offseason. And at the end of the day, you have Fitterer pick his own coach.
Yep.
Because I do believe in Fitterer.
I do too.
He was aggressive enough last year that with the Gilmore deal, a mess of other things that he did.
Yeah, but I
like him.
And a lot of fans are putting too much on him for Sam Darnold. To me, that's the one really crappy move And it really wasn't crappy
job.
at the time.
It wasn't a crappy job. It wasn't a crappy move.
It didn't turn out well.
The move. It was the only move you had. What else was he going to do?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
You weren't bringing back Teddy Bridgewater.
Look, at the time, I agreed with the thing. It just didn't go well, and now he's getting crucified for it. Like, oh, you should have seen it. We all knew he was bad. Okay.
I still maintain that he's not bad. Still maintain he's infinitely talented. He just needs to have the right system around him. And now you got Joe Brady as the new quarterbacks coach in Buffalo.
But just go on social media and go to all of these Panther feeds, and you will see people just crucifying Scott Fitterer. Like, Scott Fitterer's not the problem. Scott Fitterer did so many great things, and you're upset because he gave up a second-round pick to get a quarterback who was taken top 3 in the draft not 3 years ago, and it hasn't worked in the first year. Well, I mean, you all thought it was turned around in the first 4 weeks of the season.
Yeah, it's the best offensive output of any Carolina Panther team in franchise history.
And then it all came crashing to the ground when Christian McCaffrey got hurt and some other guys on the team got hurt, and guess what? It was bad. Okay, but that doesn't mean Scott Fitterer is a bad GM. There were NFL teams all over all over the league that would kill to have had a shot at Scott Fitterer.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's a very smart guy. This is a very young team. This would be, in the right tenant, it would be very attractive. The thing I said about not firing Matt Rule, you would have gotten lost in the coaching swing. But now you can just sit around and go, do you want to wait a year? Or do you want the keys to the kingdom here? We're the one job open. You got a GM that's widely respected around the league. Byron left, that would give him some leverage against Jacksonville. I'm dedicated to, if I was a presidential candidate, I would be running on the platform if I'm getting Byron Leftwich a job. I'm going to say that every day until he gets an NFL head coaching job.
If you were a president, you know what I think your campaign slogan would be?
I know what it is, and you can't say it on the show.
Okay, it's not that. I was going to say, I got 5 on it. All right, Jeremy, how's the experiment going? You started with $500 at the beginning of the year. You're trying to grow this little bankroll. Where are we sitting right now?
Last night did not go my way.
Oh, no.
It did not go my way. 0-3 and 5 on it last night. We're back to where we started. Minus $11.46.
Okay.
We've been hovering.
We're going the wrong way.
We've been hovering right around like a little under $500 all the way up to like $650.
Yeah.
Away it goes.
Yep.
But I got 3 picks for you tonight. 2 of them I've already given you. The first one, the Boston Celtics are a 6-point favorite tonight at home against the Charlotte Hornets. With no Gordon Hayward, this number's too low. It's just too low. Boston's really good offensively at times. They're inconsistent, which is why this number is so low. They're at home. There's no Gordon Hayward. Everything leans Boston Celtics to me. I got 50 on it. Boston Celtics -6. The LA Lakers are a 4-point favorite tonight at home against Portland. I don't take bad teams on the road. And Portland right now is about as bad of a team as there is in the NBA. I mean, you take away the Houston Rockets and maybe a team or two other than that, without Dame Lillard, they're terrible.
Mm-hmm.
The Lakers need a win. This is at home. The Jerry West thing just came out, which has not been good at all in La La Land.
Yeah.
You need one of those, hey, we just beat the Blazers 125-90 or something of the like. And I very easily could see it happening tonight. I got 50 on it. LA Lakers -4. Finally, the Missouri Tigers are a 6-point dog tonight at home against Florida. I am not going to try to convince you that Missouri is better than Florida.
Okay.
They're good as good. They're inconsistent, but I could say the same thing about Florida. Yeah, Florida's beaten Alabama. They demolished Florida State earlier in the year. They've also gotten killed by bad teams. They're not particularly good on the road. I can't tell you that I have the most faith in this. I'm not feeling good enough about it to put 50 on it, but I do have 25 on it. Give me the Missouri Tigers plus the 6 against Florida tonight.
And you can take all those wagers over to betus.com, betus.com. Use the promo code SPORTSOCRACY and get a 125% deposit bonus on whatever you deposit up to $2,500. betus.com, promo code SPORTSOCRACY. You know what time it is? It's time for something to chew on with Caleb Peak. Check him out online on the Twitter machine at CPeakAVL. for more.
You filed this lawsuit, which you are aware is obviously going to have enormous repercussions. What was the tipping point for you, through your experiences, that made you feel this was something you needed to do?
Well, I mean, just, I've been on, several interviews over the years. And look, I mean, we didn't have to file a lawsuit for the world to know that there's an issue from a hiring and firing practices in the National Football League.
That's correct. A lot of people have pointed this out. So why did you feel you needed to do this?
Because we need change.
Hang on, y'all. There's a lot to unpack here. This is Chew on That, brought to you by Ingles Markets. Low prices, love the savings. I'm Caleb Peak, and I'll get this out of the way up front. I'm a white guy. I understand that racial discrimination is unfortunately still alive and well. There are some nasty things Brian Flores has had to experience that I've never had to endure. And there are some statements that have come forth from Flores' mouth in recent days that I wholeheartedly agree with, like the fact that the equal opportunity playing field is anything but level in a lot of cases. But this lawsuit Flores is filing against the NFL and 3 of its clubs is totally missing the point. That audio you just heard from ESPN's Get Up confirms it. In case you haven't had time to follow this story, this lawsuit is basically a compilation of Brian Flores' grievances with 2 teams that didn't hire him and 1 that fired him. In 2019, head honchos with the Denver Broncos, including one John Elway, showed up an hour late to a head coaching interview with Flores, apparently, quote-unquote, disheveled and looking like they had been, quote-unquote, drinking heavily the night before. Unprofessional? Absolutely. Racist behavior? Maybe, but good luck proving it. But the real fun starts when Flores accuses the New York Giants of essentially conducting his interview to replace the disgraced Joe Judge in bad faith. That he only made the shortlist because the Giants needed to meet their minority quota to satisfy the Rooney Rule. And that New York had effectively wasted his time because in their minds, the hire had already happened. According to Flores, Brian Daboll was already named head coach. Brian Flores was only there because he fit the description. Know what I mean? His evidence for this claim? A text message exchange with Bill Belichick where BB mistakenly sent Brian Flores a congratulatory text for landing the New York gig that was intended for Brian Daboll. Awkward. A whole 3 days before Flores even appeared in New York. Obviously, there was some communication behind the scenes and away from the media if Belichick had the confidence and the nerve to send that text in the first place. He must have felt that things in the Meadowlands were pretty much set in stone. So Brian Flores has a right to be upset about that. And sure, filing a discrimination lawsuit is a great way to get a ton of national attention in a hurry. Now, stay with me here. As a head coach in the National Football League, your entire job is tightly compressed around one single requirement: making the right decision. With 3 days advance notice that the Giants had already favorited another man for the open position, Flores had to choose. He could either go into New York angry, but ready to change minds. That's what Brian Flores is all about, right? Changing hearts and minds. If it was known that the Giants were leaning toward Brian Daboll, that's invaluable scouting information that Flores should have used to try to turn the tables toward himself. If Flores knew that Daboll was the front runner, then his job was pretty simple. Convince Joe Schoen and company that he was better than Daboll. That's option number 1. Option number 2, of course, is to go into the interview angry but defeated and already planning his next retaliatory move against not only this team but all the others he feels have wronged him, plus their governing body. That's the path Flores has chosen to take. And to be honest, this seems much less about advancing racial equality and much more about increasing his own personal power. See, in this country, we have a tendency to rebel against anyone who tries to claim absolute power. That's why we've been around for almost 2.5 centuries. Yet, a January investigation by Bleacher Report found that Brian Flores pushed hard to essentially become the dictator of the Dolphins. Per BR's Aaron Walsh, Flores was essentially running the Dolphins building, but wanted more control and wanted the authority formalized. The report continues that Flores wanted the final say on virtually everything and, quote-unquote, more people to report to him. His termination in Miami, by the way, is another point of contention in his racial discrimination case. So Miami dumped their 40-year-old wannabe autocrat, and now he's upset. The Giants didn't want him, I assume at least partially because of his character evaluation, and now he's upset. Things have been plenty toxic enough in New York lately. Why in the world would they want that cycle to continue? For what it's worth, the Bronx, Giants, Dolphins, and the NFL itself have all issued scathing statements defending themselves against the allegations by Flores. And at the heart of the lawsuit, there are a couple of decent points. I'll admit that. I mean, really, the Rooney Rule was designed to put the coach's headset on various shades of humans. And let's be honest, that's not going well. But to say the NFL is discriminating against a man with obvious power-grabbing tendencies and a nasty attitude to boot is a bridge too far for me. And at the end of the day, the statement from New York says it all. They hired the individual we felt was most qualified. You can thank democracy for that. I'm Caleb Peak. That's something to chew on.
This is your time saver traffic on the new ESPN Asheville.
Interstate's moving problem-free on the Captain Jeff Bowen Bridge. Traffic volume moving well and busy on the westbound side. Smoky Park Highway, no issues. Patton Avenue problem-free and New Leicester Highway moving well. Hendersonville Road, no delays. Sweeten Creek Road moving well. Mills Gap Road, no backups. And Cane Creek Road moving well. Check of the drive time from Asheville to Swannanoa via 240 eastbound and 40 eastbound. Drive time 16 minutes. I'm Lee Benfield with your time saver traffic.
This report is sponsored by Audible. Make this the winter of you with Audible. Listen to the best of what you love, from comedy to wellness to the latest bestsellers. Find it all at Audible with audiobooks, exclusive originals, and popular podcasts. Start listening free when you sign up at audible.com.
Hey folks, DG here. Y'all know I've always loved the slogan, Smiles Change Lives, which I first heard years ago from Dr. Rebecca Merrill of Asheville Smiles. I hope you will live that slogan here in 2022, whether it's just time for a routine cleaning, you want to learn more about Invisalign, a great alternative to braces, you need a diagnosis and treatment plan, or if you don't have dental insurance, you just want to learn more about her special membership plans. 828-251-2426 or AshevilleSmiles.com.
QC Kinetics provided amazing pain relief for a former professional baseball player, and you have access to the same life-changing treatments as retired Braves pitcher Jose Alvarez.
I put a lot of stress and strain and work on my right arm, but my right elbow took most of the damage with 3 surgeries.
Arthritis developed and the pain was unbearable.
It wasn't just pain when I was trying to play sports. It was anytime I was moving the right elbow. It was pretty excruciating at times.
That's when Jose discovered QC Kinetics and the regenerative treatments that help the body heal itself, restoring damaged tissue and providing relief with no surgery or downtime. Jose's message to the medical professionals at QC Kinetics?
My elbow is feeling outstanding. Where were you 10 years ago, for crying out loud?
QC Kinetics is right here. Call for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 826-333-9517. That's 828-333-9517. QC Kinetics, 828-333-9517.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents
and Doug.
Check it out, Limu, a roadside carnival.
Step right up, folks. Test your strength. Come see the fire-breathing baby.
Let's fan out and tell people that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Look, an emu wearing sunglasses.
Limu, you're famous. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
I feel like I'm being haunted by a pair of headphones. Everywhere I go is a creepy ad for headphones I looked at one time. I hate that feeling like I'm being watched. I downloaded DuckDuckGo and saw a difference right away. Take back your privacy online with DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
When others treat your fries as an afterthought, all you're left with are cold, soggy fries. That's why Wendy's new fries are ones you won't forget, guaranteed to be hot and crispy, or we'll replace them. We're talking natural cut, skin-on fries, perfectly seasoned with a hint of sea salt. In fact, they're even preferred almost 2-to-1 over McDonald's. These are fries so hot and crispy, they beg a new question.
What would you like with your fries?
Try them today, only at Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, taste preference based on a national taste test by an independent research company.
Real estate isn't about properties, it's about people. I'm Clarissa Marshall with eXp Realty, your native realtor serving all of Western North Carolina. I will work hard for you, and I believe in doing the right thing every time. I market each of my listings to reach out-of-town buyers. I use a professional photographer and drone video on every single listing, as well as collaborate with agents across the country to find your buyer. Check me out online at clarissasellswnc.com or give me a call at 828-774-6343. It would be my pleasure to assist you through the real estate process.
Dirty Turkish shark and back flat.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore.
Shark and back flat. Important Philip.
Let the hate flow through you.
You know, I get mad about a lot of things, and right now I'm mad about two things. First of all, who starts a college basketball game at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Missouri and Florida has already started. Missouri's covering. It was a great big ass. I didn't see what time it started. But that's not what I'm mad about. What I'm mad about is, as somebody that has a fondness for West Virginia, we're very protective of our own. And one of our greatest is the logo, Jerry West. Great, one of the great Lakers of all time, one of the great players in NBA history, and also one of the great executives in NBA history. This is a guy that won Executive of the Year twice, brought a ton of rings to LA, and now he has, for life, had his tickets revoked by the Los Angeles Lakers. And they didn't even have the common courtesy to call the man. They called his wife to tell him that they were revoking his tickets. That's as Bush League as you could possibly ever expect. But you know what? I'm not surprised. For the team that felt like Russell Westbrook was going to fix all of your problems, why am I not stunned that this is how you go out with the logo? He now says that his relationship is fractured beyond all hope of repair and that he wishes he had played somewhere else. Well, as one West Virginia enthusiast to another,
Country roads, take me home
to the place I belong. Jerry West deserves better than this. The listeners of this show deserve better than me giving a game that was started 2 hours ago. I'm replacing Missouri with the over in Purdue, Minnesota. Minnesota can't defend a desk lamp. Purdue's going to kill them. Take the over 142. The happy hour starts in 5 minutes, YouTube exclusively. We'll be right back here on ESPN Radio at 3 o'clock tomorrow.
This is your Exergen Temporal Scanner weather forecast on ESPN Asheville.
A couple of sprinkles showing up late tonight up from the southwest. The bigger rains come to Asheville for Thursday. Mild temperatures, cloudy tonight and 41 degrees. Almost an inch of rain up from the southwest for Thursday, high 56. There are some flood alerts up to the west of us for some of the higher elevations. High Thursday 56, low Thursday night 52, and then more light rains on Friday with a high 56. I'm meteorologist Scott Larimore. That's the latest Weather Channel forecast.
This report is sponsored by Tyson Furniture.
Tyson Furniture has a fantastic selection of quality furniture, honest values, and great service. We deliver weekly to Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. Visit us at Tyson Furniture in Black Mountain, where beautiful homes begin.
This is your time saver traffic on the new ESPN Asheville.
Interstate's moving problem-free on the Captain Jeff Bowen Bridge. Travis Valley moving well and busy on the westbound side. Smoky Park Highway, no issues. Patton Avenue problem-free and New Leicester Highway moving well. Hendersonville Road, no delays. Sweeten Creek Road moving well. Mills Gap Road, no backups. And Cane Creek Road moving well. Check of the drive time from Asheville to Swannanoa via 240 eastbound and 40 eastbound. Drive time 16 minutes. I'm Lee Benfield with your time saver traffic.
This report is sponsored by DuckDuckGo. Protect your privacy for free with DuckDuckGo.
I bought football tickets for my husband's birthday, and now I'm in a football bubble. All I see online are articles and ads about football. I hate feeling manipulated. I downloaded DuckDuckGo and saw a difference right away. Take back your privacy online with DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
From the Ingalls Studios, this is ESPN Asheville, WPEK, W225CJ Fairview, WMXF Waynesville, and iHeart Radio Station.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
A democratic republic of sports. The Sportsocracy with ESPN Asheville hosts Tank Spencer and Jeremy Greene.
And welcome into the Sportsocracy. I'm Tank Spencer. Jeremy Greene is alongside. And welcome into the happy hour as we will continue our off-season previews for each and every team in the NFL. Every Wednesday on a Way Forward Wednesday here on the happy hour, we will talk about the futures for the offseason of all of these teams. And, well, we had to throw him a bone eventually. I made him do the New England Patriots the first time around. Now I'm going to give him the opportunity to talk about his New York Jets.
Jets. Suck.
Well, I mean, but for how much longer will the Jets suck? Because you got a whole bunch of draft capital. You got
more than any team in the NFL.
We got 5 picks in the top 100. Mm-hmm. You got
most draft capital of any team in the NFL.
You got all the money in the league. You're 2.
You're 6. Yeah, we're 40.
You're 6.
I
thought you were higher than that.
We might be.
Let's see here. Over the Cap says you are at $48 million, and you're 5th.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's fine. The Jets don't have a lot that's going away.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus May's going to go away. And after the DUI arrest and not telling the team about it, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Jamison Crowder's going to get a chance to go play for a contender. The biggest thing for the Jets, you have to re-sign Braxton Berrios. Because he showed that he has a role in this team. It's your only Pro Bowler. Big question will be Mekhi Becton. Can he come back and play left tackle? Rob Salah came out yesterday and said there will be a competition between George Fant and Mekhi Becton, which did not make me feel warm and fuzzy on the inside as a Jets fan. Other than that, I don't necessarily know that we need to bring anybody back. Morgan Moses, maybe.
Mm-hmm. I would say Morgan Moses is a priority, but not high.
Not high. Braxton Berrios is the priority. And then you go out and you try to fill some holes. You know, if you look at the Jets, the line's been a problem forever. It did get better towards the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
George Fant played very admirably at left tackle. I think he has a role on this team regardless, whether it's at right tackle or possibly even at left.
Mm-hmm.
Elijah Vera Tucker showed things as a rookie. Elijah Moore showed things as a rookie.
Michael Carter.
Stephen Tao asked this in the comments about Cameron Clark. Very unfortunate story. Kid out of UNC Charlotte that now is going to have to retire because of a neck injury he sustained in the preseason. That is, it's a very sad story.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm the Jets, I'm looking at this going, you know what? I got 3 more years on the rookie deal with Zach Wilson. I feel like we have the running back of the future with Michael Carter.
Yep.
He was very, very good at times last year. Zach Wilson showed some high-level things. Showed some rookie things.
Mm-hmm. Lots of rookie things, especially early.
Well, and that's the thing. He got better.
Of course he did.
After they brought in John Beck and after, the injury, he was certainly a different quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw enough to go, you know what, that's the guy. That's the quarterback of the future. You feel good about that. And other than that, you get Carl Lawson back next year. Hopefully he can stay healthy through the preseason. I could easily see them adding another edge rusher. I know that there's some interest in George Karlaftis. They're the coach of one of the teams at the Senior Bowl. That tends to lead to better drafts than people even realize because you get firsthand knowledge of these guys for a week. I like Karlaftis. I don't know that I'd take him at 4. I would prefer him at – if it were me, I would love to see them go Kyle Hamilton at 4 because I think he could be Fred Warner on steroids playing linebacker in this Rob Salah defense.
Right.
And then go Sauce Gardner at 10 because I think he is the definition of what a corner in that defense looks like. So you do those 2 things, you've got just a slew of tight ends right in front of you here at the Senior Bowl. I firmly believe they need one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just add pieces. The thing about the Jets are the Carolina Panthers to me of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to jump in line. This is where teams screw up rebuilds constantly. They look at it and go, oh, we have to do these things right now. And so you spend on something, the contract becomes an albatross. And then you're stuck with it. C.J. Mosley he was better by the end of the year. I do think he's probably worth bringing back.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to find a safety.
You don't have a choice, though, do you? To bring CJ back.
You could get out of it.
Really?
If you absolutely wanted to. Stephen Tao asked if you hit the traffic button.
I did.
Okay.
We're all good.
Sure. I didn't want blood to come out of Myers.
We're all good.
But, I mean, as a diehard Jets fan, I'm very much looking forward to this draft. You had one of the best ones of my life last year. So, there are a lot of encouraging signs here. You got enough money. There's not a lot of just devastating deals on the cap ledger. You asked about C.J. Mosley. If you cut him, if it was a cut, yeah, there's not a lot. I mean, it would be a gigantic hit.
Right.
And it would really do no good.
It's like, what, 20,
17 and a half.
Oh, 17 and a half. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's not as bad as I thought it was, but still bad.
So, I mean, one of the biggest things is getting healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Two of your best players, Mekhi Becton played only the snaps we saw him play live in Charlotte.
Right.
Carl Lawson didn't play a snap in the regular season.
Corey Davis. You're leaving him out
Corey
of there.
Davis was in and out of the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that team at full health is drastically better than what you saw last year. And so there's a lot of things to be excited about with the Jets. Good draft, good free agency period. I'm not going to tell you they're going to be a competitor, but next year they could be a much more annoying team to have to play.
Mm-hmm.
And you could be in that 8-9, 9-8 range. And I don't think that's that big of a stretch.
Well,
you never saw this team healthy, so you really don't know what they are.
Right. And they were already a minor headache for the Tennessee Titans and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Sorry,
which makes absolutely zero sense, but it's the same thing as them beating the LA Rams the year before.
Sorry, Bengals fans.
Yeah.
You got a Super Bowl. I get my one little dig.
I think there's a lot of promise for the New York Jets. You got 2 picks in the first round. You're picking at 4 and 10. Second round, you got picks 3 and 6. You got the number 5 pick in the third round. Then you got what? You got 2 in the fourth, and 2 in the fifth.
They have more draft capital than any team in the league.
Wow. I saw a sliding scale today of somebody had gone through, much like we did yesterday with the dynasty stuff, or with the other stuff, and they had 100% draft capital for the Jets.
That was what I saw.
0% draft capital for the LA Rams.
Yep. That's the scale I saw. You saw the same exact thing I did.
Right. All right. Well, let's move on over to the AFC South, a team that I thought was going to be better than they were, but they were absolutely killed by injuries. Yes, Stephen Tao, we're talking about your Baltimore Ravens. What is the offseason outlook for the Baltimore Ravens as they continue to have contract negotiations with Lamar Jackson? Obviously, they're going to be getting
done this offseason.
I would say so. And then obviously they're going to get so many guys back from injury. And we'll hopefully finally see what this team can be at full strength.
Well,
I still believe that J.K. Dobbins is on his way to greatness.
And I like J.K. Dobbins. The problem is that this team's in salary cap hell. They're up against it. They've got 53 players under contract, I think, for next year. You don't have a lot of restructuring ability. So if you look at the free agents that they have, Calais Campbell, entirely possible he retires anyway. Brandon Williams, who was, he's later he's on the back nine of the career anyway, had some injury issues. I don't really see how you're going to be able to bring a lot of these guys back. But the positive of that is there's probably not a better drafting team in the NFL than the Baltimore Ravens. So you can never count them out. The thing that I'm going to be interested to see is how do you put a team around Lamar once you pay him? Because that is his number's going to inflate this year. So looking at 2022, his cap number goes to – I don't have it for some reason. Why do I not have that? Oh, there it is. 23. So he's at $23 million this year. That's a hell of a jump, and that's going to change some things. It's just a question of how do you draft around him. But as long as you've got Eric DeCosta and you've got that front office, I'm not really going to put anything over you.
So where do you start? What would you like to see them do immediately in the draft? Do they need to, keep bolstering up the offensive line? I would say a tackle might be in the makings for them.
I'm always a big fan of continuing to add edge guys. One of the guys that I can't get away from, Baltimore picks at 14, which is higher than they're used to. There are some impact players that you can grab there. If I'm Baltimore, I'm grabbing the best one of them. Tackle, you're not going to see a right tackle. I mean, ideally you have a right tackle because you have Ronnie Stanley on the left side next year. You had to thrust Ali Villanueva into that position this year. There's a big damn difference between those two. David Ajabo is the one I look at with Baltimore and just go, good Lord, if he fell right in your lap. And you got him and Owa, because you're going to lose some of that interior pressure that you're used to with Calais Campbell. I mean, Calais Campbell is one of the most underrated linemen in my lifetime in the NFL. I understand he's 36 years old, but there's going to be a drop-off there. No matter what you do, there's going to be a drop-off. So to me, how do you circumvent that? You have two unbelievable freaks of nature coming off the edge in Odafe Owa and David Ajabo. Other things that I would like to see them address, the Sammy Watkins thing didn't go exactly how you would want it to go. I still look at this team, and I like Rashad Bateman, and I always have. But I would like to see Baltimore have that safety blanket guy outside of Mark Andrews. That's what I thought Sammy Watkins was going to be. But, lo and behold, who's shocked? Sammy Watkins pooed in your punch bowl. I mean, we've seen that with 3 teams now. That should not be all that – 4 teams. That should not be all that surprising. I would like to see them with – whether it's a slot guy, however you do this, just another consistent hands catcher of the football that Lamar Jackson can count on. I understand you have Hollywood Brown. He's the over-the-top guy. Rashad Bateman is going to be the one. I saw enough from him in the first year. It was in small doses, and you didn't see it in whole games. I don't think he had one great, complete whole game. But it's coming in time. I would like to, and I keep coming back to a Julian Edelman type. Just the slot guy that he's there. Wayne Corbett. The guy that you can count on, because I felt like every time I watched Baltimore last year, and it increased the numbers with Lamar Jackson turning the ball over. Every time you needed that third down conversion, you knew he was going immediately to Mark Andrews. There was nobody else that he trusted like that. I like, Devin DuVernay, but he's not that guy. I would like to see the consistent slot guy. That is a quarterback's best friend, and I feel like Lamar Jackson needs that. When this team gets healthy, I mean, there's no doubt that they're going to be the bounce-back team in the league next year. The team's too damn talented to be picking at 14. But when you go through as many injuries as they did last year, that's just the way it goes.
Right.
There's no sweeping.
So could you see like this being a landing spot for a Chris Olave or somebody like that? I mean, you could use use that number 14 pick on one of those guys.
It's not a first-round need to me. That's just one of those
like to have it
day 2 things.
Okay.
Day 2 picks are obviously still very important. And I'm not saying that they're not. It's kind of a luxury pick. But it's the kind of thing that the Ravens do. They see a problem, because that was a problem. That's one of those film things that you watch Baltimore, and every team in the NFL knew exactly where he was going. Now, it still worked a lot. But if you had another guy, and you couldn't fixate so much of that 3rd and 6 attention, that red zone attention on Mark Andrews, I think it would carry some of the discrepancy between what Lamar Jackson made a year ago and what he's going to make now. I do think the long-term extension gets done this year. I keep coming back to 35 on the number. That's what makes sense.
Yep.
Is it's 35, and so you will start losing pieces. I look for Ben Cleveland to be more involved next year. That's a guy I love that they drafted. This team always drafts well. That's the one thing with Baltimore. No matter how bad of a season you have, which they're rare, but no matter how bad it is, you just know they're going to figure out how to make this work, and they're going to figure out how to make it work in short order.
I have no doubts about it. That's why when we did the front office rankings, Eric DaCosta, number 1 with a bullet. It's the best one in the league. Don't forget that you are going to be able to join Jeremy this weekend on Saturday. He's going to be doing along with David Smith of Armchair Commentary, doing a live reactions to the Senior Bowl. That'll be at 2:30 on Saturday here in the Sportsocracy. Let's hop over to the AFC South. The Tennessee Titans. They were the number 1 seed in the playoffs this year. Obviously lose to the Cincinnati Bengals, and we see how far the Bengals have ridden that. Mike Vrabel, he's been the guy that everybody's talking about, coach of the year in the NFL, being able to continue to keep this team winning despite losing Derrick Henry for an extended period of time. What does their offseason look like, Flostradamus?
Well, looking at Tennessee, they've got, they're over the cap.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference between them and, say, the Ravens, they have a slew of guys that they could restructure and kick this can down the road and keep the window open. Baltimore's kind of strung out on restructures.
Mm-hmm.
They can do there are things you can do. They're not as simple. Tennessee has simple fixes. To have money, to have space. The thing I look at with Tennessee, you have tried no less than 907 things at corner.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like there's an ancient Indian burial ground somewhere that has Tennessee Titans written in the dirt. And every time you do something, it blows up in your face.
Mm-hmm.
I do like Caleb Farley. I know the first year was, basically a punt year.
Mm-hmm.
I still keep coming back to Ryan Tannehill, though. I can't figure. You're stuck with the deal.
Oh, okay.
There's no.
I thought you were saying there's something we can do.
I
was like, no, you can't.
You're not moving on from Ryan Tannehill. You're stuck in that, and if we're being really honest, you're stuck in that for, I would say, probably at least 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
If he was a post-June 1 cut next year, he's still $10 million dead cap space. So you're going to have to get okay with what he can do for you. Now, that being said, you're going to be at a quarterback disadvantage against the slew of these teams in the AFC, whether it's the Bills, the Bengals, the Ravens,
mm-hmm.
the Chiefs, the Chargers. But you do things that other teams don't do. They're not other teams that have a 260-pound running back that can outrun you. This was a year where you just didn't have any damn weapons. Julio Jones was hurt. A.J. Brown's perpetually hurt. I love him. I'm not trying to throw shots.
Right.
Just he's perpetually hurt, and it's something that you have to know is that this is a guy that he does that.
See, to me, that would be the number one thing. I need another wide receiver. I got to stop doing this Nick Westbrook-Akina, Josh Reynolds. I know he's not there anymore, but still, I don't want to play in that world anymore. Get me another guy.
Well, my biggest thing is you got to re-sign Ben Jones. That is the consistent in the middle of your offensive line. Centers are hard to find, and this is a shitty draft for centers. One of the top 3 went back to school, Jared Patterson. So I don't love Tyler Linderbaum's not going to fall to you. And in this system, you need that guy. I know at times there's been drop-off in play, injuries, whatever. I don't care. I don't care that'll be 33 years old when the season starts next year. That's a guy to me that you need back. I look at the line and go, there are places there that things are left to be desired. Let me put it nicely.
Okay.
But it still didn't stop you from running the ball down teams' throats. You still did things aggressively well. I would agree with you. You need a receiver. I would want to address the offensive line, and I'm still thinking you're missing a corner. I liked Elijah Molden, what he gave you this year playing in the slot. Hopefully, Caleb Farley will be healthier next year. Other than that, there's not a ton of holes on this roster. I look at Tennessee and go, you still need a corner, you still need a receiver, and I wouldn't mind adding another lineman and tight end. I have had Trey McBride, the tight end from Colorado State, penciled into Tennessee for about as long as I can remember.
Is that a first-round pick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a good tight end class, but to me there is a difference between Trey McBride and like a Charlie Kohler.
Okay.
Charlie Culver's a late 3, early 4.
Mm-hmm.
Trey McBride's a guy that could be a number 1 tight end, a Pro Bowl tight end in this league. And if you've watched this for any period of time, you know that the tight ends I do pretty well at.
Mm-hmm.
I like McBride a lot. I like Jeremy Ruckert out of Ohio State. The stats don't jump off the page, but if they don't see that as a need and they think they can get a guy later in the draft that they don't have to invest the capital in, that's a guy that would strike me there. Isaiah Likely out of Coastal Carolina. But those are the positions I would look to address. To me, a tight end, if you get a tight end, if you wind up with a tight end in this draft that can actually block, now, Trey McBride, not a great blocker. Not bad, not terrible. Jalen Watermeyer, you would look at him and go, hey, I bet you can block. And you would be fucking wrong. But they're probably better than where you've been. And it adds the target, takes some of the heat off A.J. Brown. I would personally, I look at Tennessee and go, you have 2 picks in the top 90, and then you have 5 picks in the third day.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see you walk away from the first 2 days with a new weapon, a target of some kind, and either somebody play in the back half, in the secondary, or a lineman. That if that target is a tight end, fine. If he's a wide receiver, fine. It just goes to how you're going to play it. This is it's a different offense, so it's hard for me to say, oh yeah, just pencil in. I'm trying to think of a tight end I haven't said yet. Because basically I wanted to get every tight end that could possibly be drafted this team set here because they're going to draft one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't be remiss if one of these receivers fell and you've got a toy, a Wan'Dale Robinson or Jahan Dotson or somebody like that. And now you can play them in the slot and A.J. Brown in the slot and interchangeable pieces and give Ryan Tannehill more things. The thing that Tennessee has to realize is that Ryan Tannehill is a quarterback that is paid like a premier elite quarterback. And he's not going to be. He's on the backside of that. He's in that 10, 11, 12 range. But you're going to have to keep good targets around him. Derrick Henry by himself is not going to be enough.
Let's make the transition over to the toughest division in football, the AFC West. You have, this is going to be a tough division to win in if your name is not the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, that's it. That's it. And it's going to be tough for them too. But with the Chargers in the division and this team, the Denver Broncos, it's a big offseason for them. They got Nathaniel Hackett's now the head coach. What are you going to do at quarterback? We don't know. We really don't know at this point. Is there a deal that it could be worked for Kirk Cousins from Minnesota? Who knows?
That's one that I've always heard, and it's always made sense because of the relationship between Peyton and Cousins.
Right.
Now, with Jim Harbaugh coming in, I don't think Jim Harbaugh is going to come in and go, yeah, let's go Kellen Mond. That'll be fun.
Right. I don't think he wants to play quarterback carousel like he did at Michigan. But Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, all these names have been bandied about. Jimmy Garoppolo seems like the most logical
piece
to put there.
He's not. From the way the offense is built, Nathaniel Hackett, that's one place that I don't like Jimmy Garoppolo because I feel like you're going to ask him to do more than you should.
Oh, you agree? They're going to want a strong arm quarterback.
You either need to go high end, whether it's Aaron, which I don't think is going to happen, Russell Wilson, which I don't think is going to happen, Deshaun Watson, which is much more likely, or you need to go young and find a way to get a Sam Howell or find a way to get a Malik Willis who's been really impressive in Senior Bowl practices. And I think he's a developmental guy. But the weapons around him would be so good in Denver that you might be able to mitigate some of the problems if you simplified the offense. I'm not saying the kids. I think Malik Willis is a sharp kid.
You're not saying he's a dunce.
No, I'm saying he's not used to. There's going to be a transition period because he's got to learn how to run a high-level NFL offense. The good thing for Denver, you have money. I think they're 5th in the NFL in cap space, 6th, somewhere in there. They've got around $40 million.
Yep.
And you're not tied to a ton of bad deals. You got a little extra draft capital from the Von Miller deal. This is a very multiple team. They could go a slew of ways because they got 9 in the first round, 2 in the second, 2 in the third. So, I mean, they're in the same position as the Jets. They just don't have 2 ones.
Right.
They have 5 picks in the top 96. So there are a lot of different ways you can go. If I'm them, and this is just my thought, at 9, I'm going to have a list of about 5 guys. And if one of them is there, I'm going to be ecstatic. Any of the linemen, if any of the offensive linemen fall to me right there, I'm taking them.
Okay.
Whether it's Charles Cross, there's no shot even Neal's going to fall that far, but Ike McQuano, any of those guys. They fall to me, I'm taking them because there is scarcity at that position. But then I'm going to the George Karlaftis type or even a David Ajabo. That's a little high for Ajabo to me, but that's what I'm after.
Yeah,
You're going to have to fix this pass rush because now you don't have Von Miller. You're expecting Bradley Chubb to be that guy, and I don't think that he is.
Oh, he's a guy that has to have somebody next to him, you think, or on the other side from him.
Look, I would say that about the vast majority of pass rushers in the league. There are very few guys that in a vacuum, in a phone booth, can get pass rush.
TJ Watt, the Bosa's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have
It's not a ton.
Right.
I mean, you're not going to make it to double digits.
Yeah.
And no, I don't think he's that guy. I think he can be a very productive pass rusher. I think he's going to be markedly more productive if there's somebody on the other side. A Kingsley Enikbare, if you're looking at that pick in the beginning of the second round. Amari Barno, if you wait till the third round. Logan Hall from Houston. There are a lot of guys that the good thing for Denver that they have an advantage over everybody else, especially if they wind up with an offensive lineman at 9. Their needs line up with what this draft does so well. There are a billion potential edge guys in this draft. That's the reason we're doing edge last in top 13s, because when you see who 13 is, it will make you go, oh, you've talked swimmingly about that guy. How the hell is he at 13? Because look at what's in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Denver's in flush shape here.
Yes.
I know the division's tough. I know Kyle Fuller's a free agent. I don't think you're going to bring back Melvin Gordon. I won't be shocked if this is where Derek Stingley falls. Just remember that I said that. You put him on the other end of Patrick Surtain, and you just go, hey, you know what? We got young pass rushers, a couple guys we took in day 2, but we're really fucking good on the back end.
Yeah.
So, and that's a path. But that's the thing with Denver, is that depending on what Nathaniel Hackett and Peyton prioritize, this team can go a slew of different directions. The one thing that you have, and I know you have, is weapons. The good thing about that, it's really hard to accumulate weapons the level of a Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant, Albert Okwuegbunam, Tim Patrick, Javonte Williams. There aren't many teams in the league that can say, hey, we have that.
No.
The Broncos do. Now you just got to find the point guy, and you've got to find a few ancillary pieces to go around them.
And it even goes beyond that, because you even say KJ Hamler, and I've been waiting to see him on a football field in the NFL for a year.
That's true.
So I like the things that Denver has. I think they're gonna find great success with Nathaniel Hackett, and I'm rooting for you. I'm really rooting hard that they are going to find that quarterback. Over in the NFC, we got the Philadelphia Eagles.
Speaking of teams that can do a slew of shit based on previous trades and draft capital,
Philadelphia Eagles come in sitting really pretty in this draft class because they got 3 first-rounders.
They do.
Now, they're all in the teens, and
that's
I don't know.
Actually a perk.
Well, I mean, I get it. You don't, obviously the pay is going to be lower for guys, down in the teens. But
in this draft class, the difference between the guy you get at 8 and the guy you get at 20 is fractional.
Is it really?
This is a weird draft. I don't have 10 top 10 grades.
Okay.
So a lot of Philadelphia Eagles fans, got to the point where they were ready to jump off a bridge because, we don't have 2 top 10 picks anymore. I could argue of all the years, I mean, the Giants and the Jets both have needs that they can fill up there. But, I mean, you're probably going to be reaching for a guy that in most years would fall in that 12 to 15 range. Well, what does that mean? That means the guys that there's more talent there that's going to fall right into the lap of the Philadelphia Eagles. And they'll be cheaper. And you've still got Jalen Hurts on a cheap-ass deal. I think no matter what you plan on doing at quarterback, you're going to be cheap at quarterback for a long time. But you got 5 picks in the top 83.
Yep.
You can do damn near anything you want.
Over the cap's got him at $21 million under the salary cap right now, so that's how much space that they have. And with all of those picks, you can do a slew of things. And I think, other than getting Jalen Hurts another weapon on the outside, I think you got to go after that defense. You got to shore up the back end of the defense.
Well, I mean, this is a team that's been in salary cap hell, I think, as long as I've been alive. I genuinely think the Eagles have been up against it minus 1 year that they spent like motherfuckers for the dream team.
Right.
They've been up against it cap-wise forever. Well, you're slowly getting out of that. And one of the ways to fix that is to have 3 picks in the first round that are team control for 4 years with a 5th-year option. And so having these 3 picks in the top 15, I think they have to come away with a linebacker. In my opinion, I mean, I'm looking at the depth chart right now. There is not a high-level linebacker on this team. I'll level with you, and Eagles fans would not love this. I wouldn't hate it if you went to Kobe Dean and Devin Lloyd. Mm-hmm. That's how bad I think your linebacking core is. You got rotational pieces, but I don't see that guy. And the fact that it appears you're going to keep Jonathan Gannon, that many in the league feel very strongly about, you need another corner on the other side of Darius Slay. There were things that I saw from Zech McPherson. He was a guy coming out of Texas Tech that I liked. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he's a 2. I don't think he's ever going to be a 2. I think he's going to be a situational piece. Looking at what leaves, get guys that they do not have under contract for next year. I mean, Jason Kelce.
Kelsey's the one.
But that's really it.
Yeah, and he could retire. I mean, I think he can still play in the league, but I think he's also at the point where it's time.
You're also going to need a safety. I mean, you're going to need 2 safeties, if I'm being really honest. The good thing is that this is a year where there's one premier safety that not every team views as a safety. Some see him as a linebacker. By the way, you want to talk about wet dream scenario for the Philadelphia Eagles? Mm-hmm. Let Kyle Hamilton fall to 15.
Oh, smoke.
And that sounds insane coming from me because I love him. It could happen. There is too wide a range of grades on him. So many teams see him as a off-ball linebacker in a 4-3 or, one of those hybrid Zaven Collins, Isaiah Simmons type players. There are a slew of teams that are not going to invest a top 10 pick in that. Mm-hmm. So really, to me, if you're them, it's, are the Jets going to take him? I don't think he would fall past 10, but I've been wrong before. But that's what I would look at. If they came away from out of this draft with 3 defensive players in the first round, I wouldn't be upset. I've seen a lot of people say Sauce Gardner to them. I hate to be the bearer of bad tidings. Sauce Gardner is not going to be there when you pick the first time.
Right.
He's not. Sauce Gardner will be the first corner taken in this draft. There's just too many knocks on Stingley with injury history, inconsistent tape. Yeah, the high side's really high, but the chances of him being D. Milner are way higher than you want it to be. Mm-hmm. Sauce Gardner's not going to be there for you. Now, who could be? Trent McDuffie, Roger McCreary out of Auburn. There's a lot of corners that you could end up with. You could also wait to the second round, and you're not going to get as good of a player, but there's not going to be a tremendous drop-off. Yeah. To me, the difference between a Roger McCreary and a slew of guys that you can get in the second round, it's not that drastic.
Decent amount of money. They got all the draft capital a team could ever hope for. They got a lot of options in Philadelphia.
And I'm going to say this in a final thought on the Eagles. I'm going to say the same thing I said about the Jets and the same thing I said about the Panthers last year. The thing you have to do is to avoid trying to jump the turnstile. All right, you've got a quarterback in Jalen Hurts that you're going to have to protect because the most Eagles fly glasses anybody could possibly be wearing, he's not a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. So you've got picks here where you can build out the offense and do things to set him up for what it is that he wants to do. This is going to be a run-heavy team, period.
Right.
It's just the way it works. So a lot of people get locked into, they should take a receiver in the first round. I don't know that I agree with that. I liked a lot of what I saw to Devontae Smith. I think he's going to be a 1 moving forward. Mm-hmm. He's still a little thin. That's never going to change. But you have a flyer in Quez Watkins. You can't go spent cost on Jalen Reagor. I'm not going to be upset if they take a receiver in the first 2 days. I just don't think it's going to be in the first round.
I've always thought that's what makes sense. I've always thought that they should take a quarterback as well, but I don't know that they're necessarily going to do that. You could, but I don't know that they will. The Chicago Bears are an interesting team here. They're obviously getting a new head coach over in the NFC North. Who knows what that's going to be like? Who knows what the NFC North is going to be like without, the Green Bay Packers if Aaron Rodgers is gone and if Devontae Adams is gone and
bad. Shitty. What are other words for bad? Not good. Powerful.
Well, Matt Eberflus is taking over the head coaching job for the for the Chicago Bears. Ryan Poles is now the GM there.
Good hire.
So what are they going to do in the offseason?
Well,
is there a lot that they can do? Obviously, the offensive line is the one thing that screams at me that you got to improve.
And weapons.
And you're going to need to get some weapons for Justin Fields because you're not bringing back Allen Robinson.
And here's the problem with that. You have 5 picks total.
Mm-hmm.
5. And 3 of them are 150-ish down. 147 is currently where Tankathon has them set up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, by the time you get to that point, no matter how good of a scout you are, you're taking flawed prospects that you're throwing darts at. This is going to be one of the best deep drafts you've ever seen. COVID year, a slew of other factors go into that. We've had more time to analyze tape on some of these guys. There's a lot to like about having later picks here. The problem is that you gave up that second first-round pick for Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that pick that should be getting you a Drake London, who would be the no doubt one for you forever, well, sorry about your luck. It's going to the New York Giants.
Right.
So there's that. That's what I was trying to tell you last year.
Mm-hmm.
And all the Bears fans, we don't do that. I would do things right. Yeah, that was an audible, tangible eye roll. We don't fire coaches in season. Well, maybe you fucking should start.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're going to regret the Justin Fields thing because it's not even making a comment on his talent. You've put him in a bad position here because this is a team that has a suspect quarterback, so it's going to be hard to sign a free agent wide receiver unless you ever pay him.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a one. You can give me all the fantasy stats on Darnell Mooney till you're blue in the face. If that's your one, Justin Fields is F-U-K-E-D, fucked up. Yeah, I spelled it.
Agreed.
I spelled it wrong on purpose. The problem is that now Ryan Poles has his work cut out for him.
Mm-hmm.
Good thing. I think you probably had the best GM hire of the whole cycle. This is a guy that's an undrafted free agent for the Bears.
Right.
Like, he has a love for this franchise.
Mm-hmm.
He's a smart guy. He's seen it done the right way. I have faith in him. This ain't going to be a one-year turnaround. I hate to break it to you.
No.
I do. I hate to break it to you. You brought in a defensive coach, which I think is stupid. And just since this is a Bears-centric segment, let me go ahead and tell you why I think that. But we got Luke Getsy to be our offensive coordinator. Yeah, and if he does a great job, he's going to be a head coach somewhere else next year. That's the reason that you don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You can have mercenaries on the defensive side. I don't care. You have Khalil Mack. You have Robert Quinn. Most dumb shits could coordinate your defense.
Right.
I don't care how good your defense is. I care about developing your quarterback. And I feel like every decision you've made has been routinely making things harder on him. Doesn't mean he can't be a hit. You're just making it harder. And that's how I feel about Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
You're not much of a free agent destination. And there are holes on this roster. I like David Montgomery. I think that's going to help. Your line is not particularly good.
Nope. I mean, getting Tevin Jenkins will help. Ish.
Yeah.
I mean, that was their pick from last year that got the early injury and couldn't play. So that exacerbated, I think, some of the problems with Justin Fields. The fact that he was running like crazy and all of that. You got to shore up the line.
What's going to exacerbate it more is that going into next year, your 1 and 2 receivers would be Darnell Mooney and Jakeem Grant.
That's awful.
They're both little fellers. So now that we're at the draft point, I can go, hey, that pick would be real fun if it could have been Drake London, that big 6'5" matchup nightmare out of USC that everybody's starting to figure out I was right about 3 months ago.
Right.
That would make me like Justin Fields better. I mean, I got news for you. Every quarterback in this league, you're drafted into a situation. Ryan Leaf could have been successful somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's been one quarterback in my lifetime I've ever looked at and gone, I don't care what of the 32 teams you went to, you would have been poopy. And that's Jamarcus Russell.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was
Be
not
nice.
a rocket surgeon.
I was going to say, be nice.
Yeah, he was not a rocket surgeon. So, and lying about watching tape, there's a lot of things went into Jamarcus Russell.
Right.
But look, I'm not telling you that Justin Fields is a no-doubt bust. I'm not trying to piss in your cornflakes. What I'm saying is that every decision I've seen Chicago make, it lessens the probability that he's going to be a hit. And when you invest 2 first-round picks in a guy, he has to be a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the problem is when you invested 2 first-round picks in a flawed quarterback, now you can't put the things around him to bump up those percentages. That's all anybody's trying to say.
Yep.
We're not trying to hate on the kid. Just saying the way you drew the hand, if we're playing blackjack, he would be showing a 4 right now, which tells me there's not really much that could flip on that second card that's going to put me in an advantageous position.
I feel like that thing John Mara said about Daniel Jones also applies to Justin Fields. Chicago Bears have done nothing to really help him along yet. I get it's only been a year, and he wasn't even your full-time starter last year until later in the season, but still, you haven't done a whole lot to help him out. The Atlanta Falcons. Over in the NFC South, the Falcons, it's not been long since they were in the Super Bowl. But Matty Ice ain't getting any younger, and that number on him is god-awful. What is it? $91 million over the next 2 years he's owed?
It's a shitload.
You have nowhere to go with the quarterback situation. So your pipe dreams of drafting a quarterback and all of that, you're not getting rid of Matty Ice. Nobody's going to take that contract off your hands.
No, but I mean, you can get away from it more acceptably next year. I mean, you're looking at $25 million in dead cap right now, and you're not going to bring in a quarterback that's a no-doubter. You're not. There are not no-doubt quarterbacks in this draft. There's not one that you were going to get in free agency that's going to make you feel hunky-dunky.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get comfortable with the fact it's going to be Matt Ryan. Now, that's the negative. The positive is that you found things last year. You found something in Cordero Patterson. He firmly wants to be there. He wants to retire there. Bad thing is you're in cap hell.
I was going to say, let's hope you can pay him so he can
you're in cap hell. Unless you're ready to move off Grady Jarrett, who's one of the best players on your team, then there's not a lot of advantageous maneuvers here. Oh, but we could restructure Matt Ryan and push this a year further? No. Or you just draft well, you take the hit, knowing that this division is not good. At this point, you're in the worst division in football. It's not all that close.
Mm-hmm.
You have an extra second-rounder from the Julio Jones trade, so they got 3 picks in the top 58. I would love to see somebody, for the love of Jesus, in Atlanta that could rush a damn passer.
Right.
I feel like them and the Jets, the last time they had an edge rusher was forever ago, and it was the same fucking person.
Jonathan Abraham.
It was John Abraham.
Yeah.
So, I think that's a problem. At 8, I would pray to every star in the sky that some team fell in love with a quarterback and you were the trade down spot.
Mm-hmm.
Who it's going to be, I don't know. Maybe Pittsburgh falls in love with Pickett and trades up. It's totally out of character for them.
Right.
But if they did it, it would give you more capital. The Falcons are set up minus where their first-round draft pick is. Because, all right, so, and I'm looking at Tankathon has them taking Karlaftis. Karlaftis is probably a 70% hit rate guy.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem is I don't know how great he'll be if he's the only edge rusher. There are not, and I said this about another team earlier, there's not many edge guys that can rush quarterbacks in a phone booth. It plays into the whole defense and what's on the other side and how can you scheme me. And Karlaftis strikes me as that guy. He's very high motor. I mean, I like him, but is he a guy that could go to Atlanta and end up in the pit of misery just like, I don't know, Dante Fowler?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You ever notice Dante Fowler was exponentially better when he was with the Rams than he has been any other time in his career?
Yes.
You know why? because there was other things on that defense that get after a quarterback.
Right.
He's actually the poster child of that theory. Now, I mean, if I'm the Falcons, I'm looking at the roster going, we got to resolve the Calvin Ridley thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's order one of the offseason.
Yeah.
Unless you have to resolve that and figure out.
Trade him and get some draft capital.
Maybe, Arthur Blank could make a phone call to Stephen Ross and figure out how to pay, $100,000 loss to Arthur Smith. Atlanta's been in this purgatory of picking like 8 to 15 for, I feel like, 10 years, minus the Super Bowl year.
Right.
So, at some point you have to throw a wrench in the spoke, and I'm afraid next year's going to be that wrench in the spoke because you're going to have Kyle Pitts, which was a huge hit. Greatest rookie season ever for a tight end.
Yeah, first guy to hit 1,000 yards.
Yeah, who's shocked? Show of hands? Because if you're shocked, you suck at this. But now you're not going to have Calvin Ridley. I have asked people that know infinitely more than I do. He will fetch about a high second-round pick.
Something.
I have heard the Giants. I have heard the Jets. I have heard a slew of teams that pick in the first 10 picks of the second round. If you're getting a first-round pick, it's going to be very, very late. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'd be shocked. The way the mental health thing happened, and then the rumors started coming out that he wanted to be traded, and there were a lot of things that he wasn't happy about and the team wasn't happy about.
Right.
That makes you harder to move. So, you're in this with Matt Ryan. I mean, could you swallow the frog, just outright cut him and swallow $25 million this year? Yeah, and I'm telling you right now, you'll be the worst team in the NFL next year.
And maybe
Short
that's
of
the goal.
maybe Detroit. And, hey, I'm not against that. I am in no way against that. But it's just not a one-year fix.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just don't know that you're there.
I mean, looking at
because Matt still has some juice left in him.
Not much.
He's not much.
He's
but
not very good.
He's
not very good, and he's paid like he's elite. That's true. That's the unholy trinity of bullshittery.
That is very true.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to need receivers. You're going to go, as it sits, you're going to go in with Russell Gage as your one. I'm not going to lie to you. I wouldn't be averse to you taking Drake London at 8 if you can't get out. Or Jameson Williams, if you fall in love with him and think having the deep threat with Kyle Pitts being the big-bodied receiver is better for you. And just know that whoever the quarterback is, we ain't getting him this year. The one thing you got to avoid doing, taking quarterback at 8.
Yep.
I mean, you can take Malik Willis and sit him behind Matt Ryan, but you're not going to get jack shit from him this year. If you're planning on playing Malik Willis this year, you're going to be sorely disappointed. Because let me equate this to something. Malik Willis's diagnostics of a defense is going to be going from rudimentary addition, which is what he did at Liberty, to advanced trigonometry. And it is not going to be pretty if you don't give him time and space. And Atlanta is just not the place to do that. Now, Philadelphia, that could be the place to do that. Detroit could be the place to do that because they have no expectation. Atlanta is going to be in a division where they stay within a game or two of whoever wins this division because it's so damn bad. I mean, at the end of the day, the best team in your division is starting Kyle Trask as it sits. So this is an attainable division, but you have to avoid jumping the turnstile. They're not a year away from being a playoff team. I don't care that you finished a game, 2 games out of the playoffs this year. You beat a lot of shitty teams in a division that, in large part, was shitty.
Yeah. And again, Atlanta doesn't want to be that team. They're at a point in their franchise history right now where they don't want to be that team that's just on the outside of the playoffs.
Yeah, and just, looking at what they need, I obviously would love to see them add an edge guy. Said that earlier. Would love to see them add a receiver. You're going to have to do something with the interior of the defensive line. I think you still have issues on the offensive line in spite of the fact you have thrown picks at that forever.
Right.
I don't know that I have seen anybody throw this much at something that has just not worked since, frat brothers in college trying to get somebody to touch their pee-pee. Like, it is just bizarre how many good prospects have gone there, and then injury issues. I'm not even blaming the franchise. You've had some really shit luck with offensive linemen, and that's not your fault. It's cyclical. I mean, I give you examples. There have been stretches for teams where you just couldn't play dead in the Western drafting a lineman, and that's where Atlanta is. But You got one more ugly year, cap ledger kind of leans out, and then you should be able to be competitive a year from now.
Lastly, on this way forward Wednesday here in the Sportsocracy, it's a team that was so close. They were so close to getting to a Super Bowl. They were just one game away. Over in the NFC West, toughest division in football, it's the San Francisco 4th and Niners.
The San Francisco 4th and Niners.
John Lynch is one of the best in the business at the GM spot. And you know what? Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be gone. So we're going to do something with him. That money's coming off, so you're going to be able to – it doesn't look good on the cap space right now, but once that $20 million or $24 million comes off with Jimmy Garoppolo, you're going to have some to play with.
And you're going to get a 2 probably from the Washington from the Washington Commanders.
There you go.
First time I've gotten to say that dumb shit. By the way, I do love that Joe Biden said, there's room in this town for 2 commanders. And I actually tweeted to it. Where's the fucking first one?
Oh.
Mic drop, you sleepy bitch. The thing about San Francisco that a lot of people won't notice when they're just looking at the cap ledger, how many players do they have under contract? All right now they're just over $5 million under the cap.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many players they have under contract?
31.
You're not that low. It's 34.
Wow. Okay. They got a lot of work to do.
There's a lot of work to do. This roster is very top heavy. Here's the thing. I'm afraid you're going to get what you've asked for with Jimmy Garoppolo. He's going to fetch a 2. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you he's going to fetch a 2. And I'll tell you why it is that I know that. Name me the teams in the NFL that you could actually see trading for Garoppolo.
I think it would be Denver.
Who picks at 9?
I think it'd be Washington.
Who picks at 11?
Who am I leaving out?
Pittsburgh would be 1.
Pittsburgh.
But I don't think he fits in that system, and I don't think they have a desire for him to fit in that system.
Mm-hmm.
They pick at 20. They're one of the ones that make, vague sense. Other than that, the market's going to be thin as hell. The Giants. You're not going to tap out on Daniel Jones for Jimmy Garoppolo. That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think your market's going to be thin. I think ultimately what happens is that you end up making a deal with Washington where they get Garoppolo, you get 42 and a conditional pick down the line. And that's fine. If I'm looking at what the 49ers are and what they need, this team doesn't need much. You have high-level players damn near everywhere. The problem is you don't have a first-round pick. But you do have a lot of later capital.
Mm-hmm.
This team still has 8 picks. Yes, 3 of them are stupid late, like the point where I'm already drunk, just going, no, don't give a shit that you took a kicker.
So 7th round.
End of the 7th round.
End of the 7th round.
Which I did shirtless last year, and I'm not averse to doing it again.
Oh, I had forgotten about that. Thanks for reminding me. Yikes.
But, I mean, the thing with San Francisco, no, you don't have a lot of money. You've got a decent amount of draft capital. But you're putting Trey Lance in a situation where he comes in to take over this job, and he's in a reasonably ideal scenario to take over.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a 1 in Debo. You've got a 1 tight end in George Kittle. You got a 1 running back in Elijah Mitchell. That's not even factoring in Raheem Mostert if he comes back. Well, if you ever get anything out of Trey Sermon, which I'm going to say you don't, but I said that when you drafted him, and so far a year in, I was right. Brandon Ayuk's a very solid 2.
Mm-hmm.
The line's good. You got one of the best left tackles in the league. And the thing with Trey Lance that has always kept me from really being confused as to why you would trade up for a quarterback like that is that he's so fast, he's so big, and he's so multiple that in this offense, it could be indefensible if he goes through an entire offseason and a camp as the starter, where there's no kid gloves. There's no, you go play over on the other field. We got, starters over here trying to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
I think he can be that. There's going to be some hiccups. There's going to be some headaches. You're just going to have to be patient with the kid. There's not going to be a whole lot of additions to this team. You'll see a lot of undrafted free agents. You'll see a lot of, late-round draft picks. Good thing is that's going to be one of the highlights of this draft. You're going to be getting guys in the 7th round that used to be 5th-rounders. San Francisco's done a good job of finding those. I feel like they need a corner. A couple other things that wouldn't be. Adding another linebacker wouldn't suck. Adding another weapon wouldn't suck. Other than that, it's one of the top 5 rosters in the league.
Yep.
Just get the pick for Jimmy. Don't drag this out. My best advice is to San Francisco, don't drag this shit out thinking you're going to get a 1 from somebody. When that offer of 41 comes in, and I'm telling you right now it's going to from Washington, just take it. Just take it, use the draft capital, fill out that mid-tier of the roster, young talent, make it easier on Trey Lance, and there's no reason San Francisco can't be right back in the playoffs, right in the thick of it, right as a contender for a Super Bowl again.
The San Francisco 49ers, they are going to continue to be at the top of the division. I have no doubt about that coming up next year. We thank everybody for hanging in with us here in the Sportsocracy in the Happy Hour. We'll be back with you tomorrow at 3 on ESPN Asheville, and of course right here in the Sportsocracy at thesportsocracy.com. We'll see you next time.
Avenue, problem-free. On the Charlotte Highway, no problems. Tunnel Road moving well. Sweeten Creek Road southbound is stop and go between the Blue Ridge Parkway and Mills Gap Road. Check the drive time from Biltmore Forest to Fletcher via Hendersonville Road southbound. Drive time 14 minutes. I'm Lyndon Field with your Time Saver Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Audible. Make this the winter of you with Audible. Listen to the best of what you love, from comedy to wellness to the latest bestsellers. Find it all at Audible with audiobooks, exclusive originals, and popular podcasts. Start listening free when you sign up at audible.com.
Asheville, Monsters of Rock and Roll Rupture. March 18th and 19th, Monster TNT explodes into the Egg Center. Metallic Monsters and Raw Horsepower. Tickets now at monstertnt.com or buy at Allen's Jewelry and Pawn for free pit passes.
Now your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. WIN. That's WIN.